So what's the topic today, did he say?
No. That's why I don't even know if he wants us here.
Yeah, I don't know. I was just listening in, but I gotta go to hockey in 5 hours.
Great.
Did Breadstick go to bed?
He's about to. He's just talking about it.
That was funny when he was trying to accuse you as the killer. I thought you guys were gonna start throwing down.
Who, Sean?
No, Breadstick when you were standing over Ashley's body that time.
Oh, no. Like I told him, I had no suspicions of him at all until he said that. Then I knew. I'm like, well, now I know both killers for sure. Ashley was just, that was funny. I always feel bad when I see the killer kill the person because it's like, oh, I know they can still weasel through. That's why I hate, like, you and Ian just gave up. I'm like, it's so easy to wiggle your way out of that.
Yeah, I didn't think about it.
Like, I did that with Sean. Like, there's no reason I should have stayed, even though, like, yeah, I knew Ian and Sean knew, but it's like, well, I'm just gonna fight because literally Sean was supposed to die and poor Libra crossed in front of me and he took the hit while Sean was reporting. I was like, shit. But I'm like, I'm gonna fight.
The problem is that, like, even so, he gets so defensive so fast. Like, it's supposed
Hello,
to be
we are live on the air. And have been that entire time.
That's all right. We were talking about me throwing down with a breadstick.
Doing what?
He thought he was joking that when I saw Ashley kill Danny, and breadstick was trying to accuse me.
Oh, okay. I didn't want something to happen.
And then I was yelling at Ian and Danny for giving up by getting caught. I was like, I didn't give up when Sean was coming at me, even though he saw me. Like, that's the whole point of being a killer. You throw the other person under the bus and make everybody question it.
Yeah, definitely.
What happened to Ian?
You both are like, yep, it was me. And then Danny's like, yeah, it was me. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I screwed that up, but...
You could have thrown Sean under the bus instantly.
Yeah. It was so funny. It was like, all I could think about was, oh shit, I didn't even see him there when I killed you.
Yeah, I've done that before too, but...
But that's his problem. I mean, it almost doesn't make it fun when he's accusing somebody and he's following them the whole time. That sucks for everybody.
Yeah, everybody's got their tactics.
Yeah, no, it's not a bad tactic. It's just like, it's annoying for like the killer who's trying to do something and can't because two people are following each other. Or if you're not the killer, you got somebody following you the whole time. It's like annoying.
I almost thought I was joking with Breadstick. I thought for a second that Sean and Ian made an alliance and they talked in each other's stream chat. And they said,
right,
like, let's make them think we're each other. They're fucking with us both.
Garon, what's your topic for tonight?
We don't have a topic, actually.
Best comedy shows of the 90s.
Okay, we are here on the Overnight Hours. Guys, give us a call or an email or a tweet if you want. We're joined by my cousin Danny. We're joined by Kyle. I don't know where Ian is. Is he coming?
He's here, but he's mute. He's like deafened and mute.
So can't I undeafen him?
Yeah, I don't think you have that ability.
No, I guess not. So actually, what did we talk about all last week, Kyle? What did we all dive into?
Just growing up in different, like me with mom, you with dad.
Oh, were you talking to me, Garon? Sorry.
I just didn't know if you were here or not.
I'm here. I just muted everything because everything was going on. So,
Okay.
I didn't want to start unmuting until you were ready to go.
Oh yeah, he's been talking.
I've got no emails and no voicemails, so we can talk about whatever you guys want now.
Hold on, let me put up your stream.
Your browser might prevent calls from ringing. Change your browser settings to allow Google. How do I do that?
Oh, here we go again.
Kind of like what I was saying when you and Sean were going against each other. Here
Also, hey,
we go.
Dad. Sorry, I saw you come in. Hi. Welcome in.
Oops. I have to mute you.
Night, sleep well, sweet dreams.
Night, breadstick.
We're gonna get the.
Ian says goodnight.
Good night.
Garon says goodnight.
Good night.
Danny says goodnight.
Good night, John Boy.
How about conspiracy theories?
We can talk about that.
Oh no, nothing political though.
No, this isn't really political, but this is my theory on 9/11. I know that you guys might have heard
Right
this or
off
not.
the jump?
This isn't political, but this is the.
Oh my
but I got a
God.
theory about the
Could
most
be something
devastating
lighthearted
effect
like the
on
Blair Witch.
attack on.
No, listen,
American
listen,
soil.
listen. This is not political. I'm just going to tell you my
Oh,
theory
God.
on why I think two things didn't happen that people think did happen, okay? And I have proof behind it, too.
Okay.
Now, the first one is the plane that took off from Pittsburgh, and the two people supposedly rushed the cockpit and took the plane down right away into the field right outside of Pittsburgh before it even got to Washington.
Mm-hmm. The one they made
Okay,
a movie
here's my
about.
theory. Yeah, here's my theory on that. Now, it was a 727, which for people that don't know, it's equal to like a Southwest Airlines, or 737, I apologize. It's equal to like a Southwest jet, okay? So what they said was, if that plane were to go down from where it did,
Karen.
okay, it would shatter into pieces that would scatter probably a quarter mile to up to a mile wide because of how hard it would have hit the ground, okay? Now, when they found the wreckage, this was done from over 4.5 miles wide of wreckage. Now, they said that the only way that could possibly happen with a plane that small, I mean, in theory, when you look at 777s and 747s, a plane that small, the only way it could have gone 4 miles wide is if it got blown out of the air. Now, because the other two planes had already hit the buildings at that point, before that third one actually hit the Pentagon, the fourth one, which was the Pittsburgh one, was blown out of the sky, in my opinion, by our own jets because of the fact that they didn't want anything else happening to Washington, and they knew that there was another terrorist threat. So that was actually shot out of the air by a missile, because that's the only way, they said, if either a bomb blew it in the midair or it was shot out of air, that it could have went 4 miles wide. And the reason why that was covered up with a hero tale of people storming the cockpit and becoming heroes
This was not on my
so that the
agenda for
government
tonight,
would be off the
but
hook.
hey,
That's my theory on that.
it's the overnight hours. Anything can happen.
Second theory,
Anything.
the Pentagon bombing. They have a photo booth right outside the Pentagon, and it shoots 1,000 pictures a second. Okay, it's located. It directly points right at the Pentagon. Okay, now the Pentagon being a gigantic tourist trap, where everybody that's in Washington D.C. will be around that area. Only 9 people actually said that they saw that plane hit the building. Now, prior to that building, where the plane hit, 1 week prior to that, now this is fact, this is not made up. 1 week prior to that, they had a whole new fire extinguisher system installed on that edge of the building, that if anything ever happened, like a bomb went off or anything would have happened, that this new fire extinguisher system was supposed to instantly take everything out. Okay, now the plane was going so fast, okay, that they said that when it hit the building, the pictures that were going 1,000 pictures per second never saw the front of the plane or the back of the plane ever. All you could see on the pictures when they showed the still shots of all 1,000 of them was the explosion. Okay, now with that explosion, it exploded exactly where those new fire extinguishers were. The exact spot where the only place in the entire Pentagon where they were testing them out, it hit that spot right where it hit. Now, in the history of aircrafts, every airplane that's ever crashed, never once has there never been debris not found where they found the actual aircraft. They said this is the only airplane in the history of airplane crashes that when it hit the Pentagon, it was going so fast that when it hit the building, it disintegrated because of all the fire and the fuel. It's the only plane crash in the history of avionics, or whatever you want to call it, aviation, that's never had a piece of debris found because it hit so hard. Gorgeous. You believe that? The history of all the airplane crashes, not one piece of debris was found in this when it hit the Pentagon. It hits right where the bomb, right where the fire extinguishers were, and the camera that's pointed right at the spot, 1,000 pictures a second, didn't get one glimpse of it. All you see is the fireball going off.
You're a doctor, you would know.
On 9/11.
Well, I mean,
Garon, don't think for a second I didn't see you checking yourself out there mid-conversation.
Look, guest, I don't need your input.
I'm just saying, whether you believe it or not, in the history of plane crashes, that's never ever happened, and the only way that one in Pittsburgh could have had a debris field of 4 miles long, like it did, that's a fact, is if it was shot out of the sky, because the plane was not big enough that even if it went straight down into the ground face first or head first or whatever you want to say it, cockpit first, however you want to say it, it would, the biggest it could ever possibly be, even through science, is 1 mile long. And this was 4 miles wide.
I mean, look, here's the truth about that. Whether or not what we are told happened was the truth, or what people suspect happened is the truth, we're never going to know definitively.
But a plane that's flying all that super fast and that super low hits the Pentagon, which is a major tourist attraction, and only 9 people saw it. That's it. 9 people is the amount of people that saw it hit the Pentagon. You got to be kidding me.
I don't know enough on this topic to argue either way. So I mean, I'm Sweden in this because I haven't heard any accounts, or I don't know how many people. I mean, you're saying 9. That's great. I haven't researched it, so I really don't know.
I mean, look, growing up, I was a big conspiracy person. Like, I've got Behold a Pale Horse, that book. I've got, I was into all that stuff. And I've seen all of this. I've seen every angle and conversation you can think of about 9/11. I've seen it. I've read it.
But just think about it in theory, Garon. Whether you saw it or not, whether you know it or not. When you hear about people going, I lost a loved one in 9/11. Mm-hmm. Okay, one of my loved ones was lost inside of the building. One of my loved ones was on one of the planes. How many of all those things that you've ever heard? Okay, just have you ever heard of somebody saying my person was in the Pentagon or my person was on the plane that hit the Pentagon? You never hear any of that. It's always the building hit first, or the second plane that hit the second building, or they were in the building. Every 9/11 story has something to do with that building or the 2 planes, but none of it has to do with the Pentagon or the other planes. You never hear people say that. Why?
I don't know.
Again, I don't have.
Am I wrong? I mean, when you guys hear people saying I lost a loved one in 9/11, have you ever, even on TV, heard somebody say mine was on the plane that hit the Pentagon?
I honestly can't remember. I don't know.
I don't know.
Kyle, do you have an input on this?
I mean,
No, I mean, I think that just beyond that, I think all 9/11 was the entire thing was orchestrated by the U.S.
Oh God.
Whoa.
Yep.
I don't think it was orchestrated by the U.S. I think, but once the first one happened and they knew what was going on, they're not stupid. They made sure that one from Pittsburgh did not make it to Washington, D.C. They knew those people were on the plane.
I
But
just go because if you watch the videos and stuff too, Danny, they even said how the buildings fell. It was literally like impossible. They fell as if there was bombs placed in the base of the buildings for them to fall on top of themselves, which they would not have done how the planes hit.
And you're right. And those same bombs that were
No.
put in the Pentagon that went off just happened to be right where the fire extinguishers were to immediately put it out.
I think it was an attack, an excuse so we could go invade the Middle East
I
with
will
people
say
like
this, I
supporting
don't
it.
think-
That's all.
I don't think this was in any way orchestrated by the U.S. I think that's a bold claim. I will say
That's just
that
my opinion.
what Danny's saying might, I don't know, like the idea of, they made sure to stop one, and I don't know. See, it doesn't make any sense because so there's.
I
that
was
conspiracy
out of high
theory.
school for 2 years when that happened.
Look at
Don't
those.
age us.
Ian, just research it. Just look at the still pictures of that photo booth that was pointed right where it hit. I mean, the photo camera is on the spot that it hit. It takes 1,000 pictures a second. They tried to claim that the plane was going so fast that it went through the pictures. It was going super fast and it literally hit the Pentagon. You didn't see the front of the plane or the back of the plane. The only thing you see on those pictures is the explosion. That's it. That's impossible. 1,000 a second, and it doesn't even get a glimpse of a window, a wing, an engine, a cockpit, a tail, nothing.
Well,
No, I mean, I get that, but at the same, I mean, again, like I said, from what you're saying, it's convincing. I haven't done the research myself, so
A
it's
bomb
hard
went
for me
off
to just
inside the
jump in.
Pentagon, and they made it look like another plane went through there.
I will say, I've heard a lot of conspiracy theories about Pearl Harbor, that the U.S. allowed that to happen as a way to get us into World War II, which some of the stuff I've read that makes sense. That may have been something. It was a military installation that got hit. Only, really, there was not a lot of civilians.
that wasn't in Michael Bay's movie at all.
Wait, was it?
It was not.
Oh wait. I don't know if you're being facetious or not.
I'm being 100% facetious.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what movie you're talking about.
Pearl Harbor!
I think I saw that when I was like, I don't even know how long ago. I don't even remember anything but some Ben Affleck in it.
So you should give out the phone number and tell people, say, am I wrong?
Oh no.
323-609-FLOW. 323-609-3569 is the number if you guys want to call in and talk about 9/11, I guess.
Yeah, I did not see that. That's a swerve I didn't see
I
coming.
was just gonna tell you when I said my conspiracy theory, it wasn't political at all. Like I wasn't saying because Bush did this or Osama bin Laden did this or whatever. I never even heard the name Osama bin Laden till after 9/11, but apparently it was like a big thing that I just didn't know about.
Well, we created him. He is a creation of the U.S. government. That's a fact. Like, to tell all that shit, we fund it. We gave them weapons. We created them. That's all American made. And then they turned up against us. So, that aside, I mean, I don't know. I definitely think there were gray areas about that entire event. I don't necessarily think that the government planned it or that the government did it. I think the government took advantage of it. Or people in the government took advantage of it. So if they shot down Flight 93, it's certainly possible. But they would never
And
admit
it
to
takes
it.
off over Pittsburgh, and the only place between the airport and any kind of civilian life is only about 6 miles long from where it took off, and it just happened to be that that's exactly where it crashed, where no other civilian lives could have been lost. It hits a field where no civilian lives were.
Yeah. I mean,
Coincidence? It could have crashed anywhere in the world. It could have hit any population, any big city, any small city, and they just happen to make sure that it goes down exactly where nobody was.
yeah, I mean, who knows? That's possible. It's possible. I mean, but at the same time, what this is going to sound tremendously fucked up, but was that the wrong choice?
I don't think it was the wrong choice. I think what the wrong choice was to make it look like there were some heroes on a plane trying to cover up your ass. Like,
but that could have also happened. We don't know that. That's possible. But it could have just been a like crossed fates that these people decided to stand up and fight.
Is part of both were true. I do, because there's evidence that people texted that they were going to go and fight the people on the plane, and they were going to try and take the plane over, and that they were going to try and fight them. And there's evidence that there were heroes. I think that the government understood that and knew it, and that's what they rolled with to the press. Like, yeah, they said they were going to do it on their text, and we're going to tell you that they actually did it, and that's what brought the plane down, when that's a bullshit lie.
The only problem I have with this whole conspiracy theory about 9/11 would be, what was there to gain for the U.S. government? I mean, it's not like...
Going to war.
I mean, they were... Okay, so the Iraqi thing. So you're saying that this was the prerequisite that they needed to invade Iraq? Is that what you're getting at?
With the support of the people to not have the backlash. Yep.
I mean, there's...
If you think about it, I mean, it sounds bad. What is it? That's what people are talking about. Like 3,000 dead. That's like nothing. Like a little bit for the greater gain to them. So
see, the only thing I would say against that is that if they did like put it together and they said, okay, we're going to kill 3,000 people.
Well, I don't think they knew the number. I'm just saying because clearly, like I said, there's evidence about the buildings.
Thanks for coming, Dad. Have a good night.
It would have
I
been
appreciate you
more
so much.
Catastrophic.
Right, right. An interesting point. I don't know if you want to look this up real quick. He says in Wingdings, he said there's a Wingding font conspiracy. One of the flights was Q33NY. Look up that. Look how that translates in Wingding fonts.
Q33NY.
In Wingdings.
Like, how do I even check that? Just open up a Word doc with Wingdings?
Type in like Microsoft Word Wingdings, and then translate Q33NY from Wingdings.
Q33NY.
Yep, that's the flight. One of the flight numbers.
People think Wingdings contain hidden 9/11 messages.
He says it's a crazy coincidence.
And plus, there's that thing where you fold the $20 bill too.
What is the translation?
Plane followed by two symbols which look like the Twin Towers, and then a skull and crossbones and the Star of David.
Yep.
That's kind of weird.
I told you. I said it was too beautifully done. Well, like Garon said, we'll never know. That's just my opinion. It would have been way more catastrophic. Way too. It was just I don't know.
I just don't know why they would go to the point of even after that of like not allowing us to go inside of airports anymore, making sure that
because they gotta commit to the lie. I mean,
it also,
that's how it goes.
If you want to get really on the side of paranoia, it also allowed them to pass the Patriot Act, and do domestic spying and do. I mean, there's a whole series of things.
It's all orchestrated just for their gain. That's all it is.
But the interesting thing on top of that,
I don't know that the second George Bush was that smart, though.
It's not George Bush. It's Dick Cheney.
It's not George Bush. It's everybody else.
It would be Dick Cheney, not George Bush. George Bush was their little puppet.
Dick Cheney was too busy shooting himself.
Yeah.
Well, all presidents are usually puppets.
Look, I mean, what's more interesting really is why there are so many conspiracy theories surrounding 9/11. Why do us as Americans have such a vast distrust of the government?
Well, that's easy.
Like what?
Mainly because go on.
That's go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh, to me, mainly it's the fact that with the access of information and technology and outside perspective, the world used to be a lot smaller. It was very easy to hide things. Now you can't. So when things get uncovered, also people have a tendency to get whipped up into a frenzy over conspiracy theories. It could be media, movies, the fact that people see these stories in movies that really show a lot of like interesting conspiracy plots, and then everyone starts correlating that to real life, and starts finding them. You know, I've heard so many whacked out. I mean, you go to QAnon and all that bullshit, like it's so easy for people to get wrapped up now with their fantasies almost that it all becomes reality when it's told enough. Like, how did QAnon ever become something legitimate?
But that's the thing.
How did someone get that out?
I don't know.
Like how many smooth brains did it take for that many people to believe that heartfelt that QAnon was real and that there was a ring of pedophiles that were aiming to destroy Donald Trump and take over the world, and they were literally dying on that hill.
I don't know.
It's insane. They literally saw Trump as a savior, like he was coming down from the mountain to kill the pedophiles and save us all.
But that is that is a theory that's been around for forever. Like, even if you ever heard of the Johnny Gosch case, which is about this kid who just vanished, and supposedly was taken to I don't know where he was taken, but it was sex trafficking and God knows what else. But they were saying that he was taken to a place where high-ranking government officials, where they were there. Like George H.W. Bush was said that he was there and he was part of it. And because this kid disappeared and then showed up back at his mom's doorstep decades later, I think, and then disappeared again. It's such a weird, bizarre story that if you look into it and see all these weird aspects of it that involve the government, which is crazy enough as it is, but that's before QAnon by decades.
Yeah.
And then Jeffrey, yep, it's a doctor in the chat's talking about Epstein's black book. Yeah, it's, I don't know. I there's so much. On one level, as a creative writer, well, they have, for sure they have. The book.
And distrust has always been there. It's just that it's always been in such small quantities because of the lack of easy information traveling at the times. That now that the internet's, I mean, everything is so close-knit now, and it's so easy with social media.
And here's the thing. There's these if these conspiracies are any of them in the history of conspiracies are real, if any of them are accurate, it's only so long before it's gonna get exposed, because technology is gonna get to the point where people like Anonymous or whatever are gonna be able to get their hands on that information.
I mean, look at your Facebook feeds and anything, and look at all the crazy like political memes people have posted that are supposedly behind facts, and people just gobble it up, and then you find out later it was all based off bullshit. You know, it was just something someone said just to make a point. Like, people don't fact check, people don't check, they just see one thing that's posted and they all jump on it no matter what.
I mean,
that's a great topic.
My stuff was facts.
Fucking pyramids get made?
I've got a complete series box set of Ancient Aliens that explains in clear detail how the
obviously
pyramids were created.
The Predators came down and gave us the knowledge to make the pyramids. No one saw that movie?
What did you say?
No.
I said obviously it was the Predators.
Oh wait,
the Alien vs Predator?
I don't talk about that. I just got a voicemail. I don't know what it is. You guys want to hear it?
I do.
Watch. Turn this shit off.
It's 4 seconds.
Nah.
You're gonna screen this first?
Fuck no, let's just play it.
Oh, here we go. We're all banned.
Hold on, let me stop this music for a second. It's smooth jazz on Spotify. I hope you guys can hear it. The transcription not available. What the fuck?
So you can't get like a live call?
I theoretically could, but I didn't. It didn't tell me. What did that say? That's creepy.
Tell him to call back.
Hold on, here we go. I don't know what that said. Did you guys hear it?
No.
No.
Oh, well, that doesn't help. Ian, you didn't hear it in the stream?
No, no. Your stream is muted because I.
Okay.
It'll reverb.
All right. Well, it was just a weird voice.
All right. Can I bring up one other one?
Sure.
All right. So this one's a little bit back in history, but I actually did some research on it because I read a book for the first time in a long time. This is about Billy the Kid.
Oh, that he's still alive?
I'm not saying that he's still alive, but here's the theory behind Billy the Kid. Billy the Kid was supposedly shot by Pat Garrett. I'm kind of like going to go through the story. You probably already know it, but in case your listeners don't. Billy the Kid was supposedly shot by a guy named Pat Garrett. Pat Garrett actually wrote a book saying how he killed Billy the Kid. Now, Pat Garrett was a best friend,
Pretty sure it had a lot of
of Billy
pictures
the
in it.
Kid back in the day, before he actually became sheriff. Now, one of the things is that he was promised that if he became sheriff, he could deliver Billy the Kid. Now, going back into what happened is that Pat Garrett said he knew exactly where Billy the Kid was, and Billy the Kid was supposedly hiding out in this house that he was staying in with another gentleman. Now, Pat Garrett said, I'm going to take one deputy. Now, this deputy that he took with him was a brand new deputy. He had just started on the case. They left for this house, and he arrived at this particular house. It was around midnight, so it's really, really dark out. And back in the day, they don't have roads. They don't have they just have horses and carriages and things like that. So the town that they left from was about 2 days away. Okay, when they arrived at this house, Pat Garrett told the deputy, wait outside. Pat Garrett knocked on the door. A guy answered. Pat Garrett went in there into the house, not by force. He went in. The guy let him in the house. 2 gunshots were heard. A bunch of people went running. Now it's midnight. Nobody could see anything. And then Pat Garrett came back out of the door, shut the door behind him, and told the deputy, he said, we're going to ride back to Lincoln because I just shot Billy the Kid. Billy the Kid's dead. And so they got on their horses and they left. Now, what happened is that 2 days later, when they got back to Lincoln, they told him Billy the Kid's dead. Let's go. We're going to go back to the place where I shot him, and we're going to get him. Now, when they got there, they said, we can't give you Billy the Kid. We've already buried him. It's been 4 days since he had shot him. He said, we buried him right here, and you can't see the body. So they just pronounced him dead right from then on and there. So Pat Garrett being one of Billy the Kid's best friends, nobody ever saw Billy the Kid get shot.
That made me laugh.
The only evidence that they ever had was that Pat Garrett came out of the door saying that I shot him. The deputy that was with him never saw him because he was on his horse. They rode back, and when they came back, they were not going to exhume the body. So, now that being said, in 1989, they all wanted to prove, was Billy the Kid, because now they have all this forensic evidence and they can do DNA testing and all this stuff now. So they said, we know Billy the Kid's mother is born or dead in Silver City, New Mexico. So they told Silver City, we're going to dig her grave up. We're going to dig Billy the Kid's grave up, and we're going to see if their DNA matches to see if the body inside that gravesite is actually Billy the Kid's. So they go to dig up the gravesite in Silver City, where the tombstone's placed. There's no casket there. There's no body there. So the curator of the cemetery says that in like late 1800s, early 1900s, there was a big gigantic flood there, and the entire city of Silver City, New Mexico flooded, and that all the grave sites that were underground went everywhere, and there's no way to know which grave site goes to which casket.
Stupid.
True or false, no one knows. So they said, okay, fantastic. We're gonna take Billy the Kid's grave and we're gonna dig it up. Well, the people that run the tourist attraction there said that's not going to happen. They put a gigantic cage over it, over the gravesite, put a lock on that cage, and they said, unless you have a warrant, you cannot touch this body because this is our property. And to this day, they've never ever dug up Billy the Kid's grave because the people that ran that will never let them see if in fact that truly is Billy the Kid. Did he die? And did he die by Pat Garrett? Pat Garrett wrote a book saying that he swears that he killed Billy the Kid, and he told all his nephews and grandkids that he killed Billy the Kid, but nobody ever saw the body. Not one person's ever said they saw Billy the Kid dead. Never has it ever happened. The only person that's ever said anything about Billy the Kid dying is Pat Garrett, who supposedly shot a body, did not show it to the deputy, left at midnight, went back to Lincoln. They came back with all the sheriffs and all the mayors and everything to make sure Billy the Kid was dead, and they told him when they arrived he was already buried, and that's it.
So what would they gain by like faking his death? Like, were they just ashamed because he got away and they just...
No, Pat Garrett
did you think they made a deal with him?
Yeah, no, Pat Garrett made a deal that if I become sheriff, I will deliver you Billy the Kid. And when he So when he went up to Billy the Kid and he knocked on that door, and I believe Billy the Kid was there, he told Billy, when I shoot, you run out the back and go to Mexico, or else they're going to come here and kill you. So I'm going to tell them I killed you, and that's
Wait,
so when he
did
shot.
you say they're best friends? We're best friends or something?
They were best
okay.
friends before he took the sheriff job. So
he just let him run.
I think he let him run because it says in the book that a bunch of people scattered everywhere when the shots went off. Now this is midnight in a town of it's a New Mexico in the 1800s, so you can imagine there's no houses probably there. It's all horses. Did he really do it?
So
And still, no one's tried to even dig it up to this day?
They won't let him. There's a cage over it to this day because that's a big tourist thing for New Mexico, that people come there to see the body of Billy the Kid.
Oh.
And they won't let anybody near that gravesite. If you go to that gravesite right now, it's got a cage over it. It's been like that since I think it's like early 90s or 89 or whenever the governor of New Mexico was going to dig it up.
well, who stopped him?
Yeah.
The government, the people that own the property said that it's their property and that they took him to court, and it was like a big long thing, and they end up telling the governor of New Mexico, you cannot dig that up. You cannot touch it.
Also, so, I mean, the real question at the end of the day is, which plane did Billy the Kid fly into the Twin Towers?
Oh,
No, he flew the Pentagon one. Yeah, it's the Pentagon.
It's just a theory of just because of the fact that not one person has ever in recorded history said they saw the body of Billy the Kid. Not one. It's never been recorded.
except the person who shot him.
Except for Pat Garrett, who said it in his book that he definitely shot Billy the Kid. And he
Wait,
claims all the way up
was
until
there
his
a
death.
body presented at least after he shot somebody?
No, because it was buried before all the people that came to see the
right
body
after
to
he
confirm
shot.
it. No, because when he shot him in that guy's house, he came out of the house and he told his deputy, I shot Billy the Kid. Let's go back to Lincoln, which is a 2-day ride on horse, to tell them we did it. They just took off and left, him and the deputy. All the people that were in the house, nobody ever said anything like negative or positive, like, yeah, he was in the house, or yeah, he's dead. None of that. Nothing was ever saw or said or done. The only thing that they have is that what Pat Garrett said.
I mean, this is the Wild West, Ian. We're talking, cowboys.
No, I know that. I mean, that's why I was curious if they actually dragged a guy out in Billy's clothes and went, killed him, or if he just walked out and went, there's a guy in there dead, I promise, we'll get him later.
And that's kind of what it was. Like, there was gunfire that went off, people scattered everywhere, and he just came out like casually, like, not a big deal. I shot Billy the Kid. Let's go back and tell everybody in Lincoln that I did it.
Yeah,
Basically,
I
got the job done. You hired me for a reason, and now I'm going to get paid, and I'm going to become this famous sheriff. The biggest thing that in history that shot Billy the Kid. I'm the guy. And even all that they said to his grandsons to this day, all the way onto his deathbed, he said he's shot Billy the Kid all the way to his deathbed.
It's one loyal friend.
Yeah, but nobody ever saw the body, and it's like you shot your best friend, and yet nobody dug him up like after you said you buried him.
Yeah, that's the part that's the biggest. It's so weird that they wouldn't let them exhume the body. It makes
They just
sense.
went with it. He said, I shot Billy the Kid. They had a big party. They said they buried the body, and that was it.
Who knows? It's possible. Maybe they were.
What is he even known for? Why did they want him dead? Was he like a robber or what?
He was just a guy that was he was a young kid who was just killing people.
Did you see
He
Young
didn't kill
Guns,
a lot
Kyle?
of people.
Huh?
Did you see the movie Young Guns?
Uh-uh.
Oh, that's about
Young
Billy the
Guns
Kid.
was a far fetch from what really happened. I mean, if you go to the museum where Billy the Kid was buried, and you actually read the true stories behind Billy the Kid, it's far fetched from what Young Guns portrayed.
Really? You're telling me that a Hollywood film starring the Brat Pack of actors is far-fetched?
Sorry, Emilio Estevez needs to stick to Mighty Ducks. or Free Jack, in case anybody ever saw that.
Here we go. Here's some new topics for you. Area 51 and Elvis is alive.
Oh God, that's not.
He
true.
picked oranges.
My grandfather, his entire life said, as I mean, not just, I don't know, but swears that he used to pick oranges with Elvis before they were before he was famous.
Did you see that latest thing on that triangle that was captured from that ship in San Diego? That alien ship?
No.
It was on the news the other day. Literally, it was on CNN. It was on Yahoo News. It was on everything. It was in San Diego. Some kind of U.S. warship saw alien spacecraft and was recording it, and the government actually confirmed that was a unidentified object. They didn't try to cover it up or anything.
Huh.
If you look it up, you can see it. It was only literally a week ago. The video on it is creepy though. It looks like a triangle floating through the air.
Well,
like
I mean,
Borg.
I'm actually.
Wait, what's Flight 370?
You mean, what do you mean Borg? Borgs are in cubes.
No, I know, but it was the way it was floating there. It was it looked like Borg.
Oh. I'm really interested because I've believed in aliens forever, and I'm fascinated by all these people now suddenly starting to come out and say, by the way, it's real, and by the way, there's a galactic federation, by the way, there's all sorts of craziness going on. That's
A galactic federation? Is this Star Trek?
Yeah, you didn't see that where somebody came out and said that there's the countries on Earth are part of a galactic. I think federation was the word they used, and they haven't made themselves known to us or to the general us.
So
the
wait,
royal
is this
us.
the plot to Men in Black?
Kind of, but
The U.S. government knows there's aliens. And we all get flashed in the face, so we don't remember it.
Some former prime minister or something in Israel came out and said it. Some former government military dude.
Probably literally just got Men in Black in that country and watched it.
Yeah. Oh, this is a documentary.
All right, give out your phone number again.
Yeah, right.
Hank, you're listening to one right now.
Oh, okay. So have you guys heard about this? Because have you guys heard of Flight 370 from Malaysia Airlines?
Yeah.
What is that? I mean,
It's
That's
a
the-
flight they literally still to this day have no idea
Never
what happened
found.
to it.
Yeah,
where did it go down?
They don't know.
They don't even know if it even did go down.
yeah.
There's zero evidence of anything.
gotta
No
be.
black
Did it go over
box,
the
no
ocean?
recordings.
Supposedly it's somewhere outside of Australia, like in the Indian Ocean area, but they don't know that as a fact.
Yeah, they scoured the ocean everywhere it could have possibly gone, its path, and there's
Holy
literally
bro.
zero.
I saw an actual triangle-shaped aircraft in December. So, wait, aren't bombers triangle-shaped?
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a bomber. Yeah, that's creepy. It's either in the ocean or obviously it was predators.
323-609-3569 is the phone number to leave us a voicemail. If you get on the Discord, you can get on the show live. Tweet at Overnight Hours or email us
Yeah, Ian, it's really creepy.
@gmail.com.
There's never been any wreckage, anything.
Yeah,
It
that's
just
weird.
Makes zero sense.
I mean, I saw pictures of someone that had scoured Google Maps like you could see the shape of a plane underwater.
Okay.
But I'm like,
was
that
probably
is
just
literally-
Photoshop.
Noticed that and Google Maps got it.
Yeah.
I know. I'm like, that is too perfectly. It's like somebody set the plane right there. Just
No,
like,
it was
boop,
photoshopped for sure.
boop, here it is. You can't find it.
But
Also, talk about global
that stuff's
incompetence.
creepy. And I've always been fascinated with the whole Bermuda Triangle stuff too.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
But I still think, speaking of conspiracy theories, like I do not think we actually landed on the moon. I am one of those people.
No way!
Yep.
Why do you think
100%.
that?
Kyle, they've literally got flight in Mars already, and you're telling me
No, that's
that
what
you
I'm
don't
saying.
think-
You want to know why that alone disproves it to me? Because there's no reason as a safeguard that however many years it's been later, 60 years, they have not gone back to the moon to attempt some sort of test. And now all of a sudden we've allegedly been to the moon one time and now we're like, let's go to Mars. Like, that's such bullshit. They would be concocting experiments on the moon, trying to grow something, trying to do something. There's no reason we have not been back to the moon. especially with equipment digging deeper. Like, and there's been so many. Obviously, there's all the pictures and everything to disprove everything. And there was actually like this crew that reenacted with the film equipment that they had back in the day. They used the exact same stuff to see if they could redo what they showed us, and they did it to a T with the equipment. Like,
I
it's
think
just
Mythbusters
insane.
debunked what you're even talking about just now.
No, well, you can look it up. I mean, there's stuff for both things, but I just think there's no reason why, with all the experimenting and how much further we've gone, that we have not been back there. That alone should raise flags to everybody, because it's like, how could we do it in 64 or something? But now we're not even thinking about it in 2021, but suddenly we're thinking we could do Mars. It makes zero
Because we can't
sense.
colonize the moon.
We have better chance to colonize the moon than Mars. Like,
No,
they
Mars
don't know
is actually a
enough.
sustainable planet, supposedly, if it's done
Wow.
correctly. Whereas,
No,
the
they
moon
could,
has
with
a-
our technology, they could set up something there to even test it. They have to set up a beacon to see if we can get oxygen flow and all that shit. Like, it just makes no sense.
So why did I know? I don't. Okay, Sean, by the way, agrees with you 100%.
Yeah, there's
So
no
there you
way
go.
we've been there.
And I
There's no
understand
way
the
we
whole
wouldn't have
beating
had
Russia in
anything
the
back.
space race, but the only problem I have with it now is, let's say the 1969 moon landing was falsified. Okay, great, but that still doesn't explain the fact that we have the ability to go to the moon. We have the ability to test on the moon. So your theory, your thought that we've never gone back, that's why we haven't been there, to me doesn't ring true, because we have the ability to go to the moon. It's been proven by the fact that we've done what we can't do on Mars and everything else.
How did that's happening?
So a possibility is, well, Stuart in the chat says we went there 6 times, and we are going to the moon before we go to Mars. But if you want to buy into the fact that the 69 moon landing did not happen, the reason it would have been faked is so that we win the space race.
Well, that's
Well,
what
for
I'm talking
sure.
about. Beating Russia is a good point to fake it.
I mean, it's funny that South Park did the same thing, where they were like the ladder to heaven, and then Japan's like, we made it to heaven first. Here's what heaven looks like, and it's all.
Yeah, it's
All
like
I
the
know-
fact that nobody has been back. Like, you can't, there's no way,
Well,
especially now in
you've been back
2021, not
supposedly 6
one other
times.
country would be back there filming it, showing some sort of weird experiment, like a little terranium bubble. Like, it makes no sense.
Wasn't there some
that
sort of
70
agreement
years
made
later?
after the space race, though?
What?
I thought there was some kind of agreement about the moon made
Maybe, I don't know.
politically.
I'm not on the clock to look shit up, so someone needs to play intern.
You're good at it,
It's
though.
just I don't believe it for a second, especially now we're like, yeah, Mars. I'm like, okay, nobody's
It's also
stepped
possible-
back on the
No.
moon. That's so
Two
dumb.
things I'm proposing. Well, first off, I really hope that all of us live long enough to see a colonization of another planet. I think that is so fascinating. I would love.
It's not gonna happen.
I want to see it so bad. I want.
Ian, that's
us-
why they haven't been back to the moon. They haven't stepped foot back on it, and that was fucking 70 years
This guy
ago.
in chat said they've done it 6 times.
Okay, well, then it's not recorded. Then that's a whole different theory in itself.
Well, either way, I still would love to live in a world where we got to colonize another planet. I think that would be so fascinating. Also, when you mentioned Bermuda, let's make a pact right now. If we all live to be 80 and we're near death,
We'll just go to
we
the
go
Bermuda and see
explain
what
Ber-
happens.
We go into Bermuda and see what's up in the
Yeah.
triangle.
Yeah.
See if it's
I
a
wanna know.
portal.
Let's see
It
if
might be like
Atlantis is
Lord of
there.
the, remember in Lord of the Rings when he went off on the boat and like joined all and went on to paradise?
Mhm.
Maybe that's the Bermuda Triangle. We'll all be young again after Bermuda. So let's go.
The last man trip to the moon was in 72.
72.
Right.
So that was 3 years after.
Yeah. So, I mean, the theory would be then that there's no reason to go back. Like, the ground
reason
isn't
enough would be if they're
cultivatable.
thinking about Mars, hey, let's set up this little dome with oxygen and see if we could sustain people a lot closer to home than attempting to land on Mars and colonize. It makes no sense.
But
Well, it's the same thing with Venus. I mean, they said Venus is like identical to Earth. It's the only one that can have water. It's the only one that can have possibility of life on it. It's supposedly a planet that's right next to us, but yet we don't ever try to go there. We try to go to Mars and we try to go to all these other places because why? Why don't we try to go to a planet that's equal to ours, that if there's a possibility of life, and that's the only, according to science, that the only possibility of life on another planet could be Venus, why don't we explore that
Well, I
more?
think they deem that because of the gases. It's too hot. I
you,
think. I don't think
Venus
it
is a poison
sustainable
planet.
there.
It's poison.
No, I
Yeah,
get.
really,
I mean,
Venus
with
is like
the
a giant
technology,
ball of poison
with
and
the
heat.
drones, why wouldn't you try?
The there's
It's
like
literally
there's
hot as
moons
hell.
of Jupiter that are like Europa is supposedly is full of water. I think it's Europa.
But
It's
how
one
big
of those.
is it though?
It's a moon. I don't know.
I mean, I'm assuming a moon is smaller than Earth.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not an astronomer. I don't know.
But yeah,
Sean is
I mean,
pointing
they
out facts. He claims that
they'd be showing us
Venus's
footage of fucking
average temp is 864 degrees Fahrenheit.
yeah.
That
Venus
would-
is really hot.
Europa
That's
is
quite a
bigger than
summer.
Earth.
But they should have like drones and buggies on the moon. We'd be seeing live footage. Like, look at this, is the moon. But
I
yeah, I
feel
get
like-
it's
I'm
the
gonna look
moon,
this
it's the
up.
rock.
I feel like
but
there was some sort of accord made after we got that when we won the space race. Like I feel like there's
that would make no sense, especially if nothing's there. That would be the dumbest clause ever. Let's not go here to this rock. Like
Well, I think it was
that
more
itself
so-
is fishy.
I feel like it's one of those things where like it was one of
But
those
instead,
you
we're gonna
won, but-
attempt to send people 72 months to get to Mars when we've been to the moon once, or allegedly 6 times, which I think again is bullshit.
I'm looking
It's like
this
you need
up.
to
I'm trying
test these
intern
things
here.
and practice. It's like an astronaut practicing in the fucking water and stuff first. It's like now, okay, go practice on the moon. It's the next weird thing, like less gravity. Let's see if we can sustain you somehow. And now we're going to Mars. Yeah, fucking right. It's such bullshit.
I mean, I don't know.
I mean, at this
Yeah,
point, so many
let's
years
go
later,
over
they
this,
were
guys.
making millionaires. Let's take a trip to the moon. Like that would be a thing.
That's good, Sean. Let's go over this, guys. The deep sea and the fact that we haven't explored it. Let's go over that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Stewart says that
That
is what's
scares the
happening.
shit out of me.
Project Artemis is going to test out all of the technology before we go to Mars on the moon.
Well, we'll see.
But let's go over the deep sea because fuck space. That is terrifying to me that there's parts of this planet that we cannot know about.
Of course.
What the
Yeah.
hell
And
is
too,
down
the
there?
internal, we don't even know technically. Well, that's what's funny too, that even Jake and I were talking about, like the stuff we read for scientists, and I know Gary, you'll probably have people in chat, but we just like listen to it because they're quote scientists that it's fact. Like no one can really technically tell us the composition of the sun and what it is, like, and we just take it. It's something that's fucking light years away, and we're like, oh yeah, you're right, it's hydrogen, da 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 da, and we just believe it. We don't have a fucking clue. It's the same thing. We don't even know the center of our Earth. They just take like assessments and assumptions, and we just buy it because they're a scientist. Like that stuff bugs me. We have
Like-
no clue what the center of our Earth is. Zero.
Nothing's been to the core. No drone.
No.
nothing?
Nope.
Hillary Swank's been to the core.
You can look up the deepest thing. Like I think Russia was one of those things they tried, and then they had to shut it down like so many feet deep. But yeah, we have zero, and then we barely even scratched. I don't even think we made it to the fucking through the mantle.
Could you imagine if they decided to do a deep dive to go straight down to Earth or the Earth's core and it just destabilized the entire planet?
Oh yeah, it just splits us in half and throws us out of orbit.
I did not see the core. Have you seen the core, Garon? Is that what you meant by Hillary Swank?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think Sean said you see the movie The Core. It was absolutely terrible.
By the new Godzilla, they go to the center of the Earth.
Oh god.
Well, that's a whole nother theory is that the
Well,
center of
with
the
our
Earth has another
technology
world.
these days, we probably can. You know, we probably.
I
been
just
there
want to know
14
the
times.
deep sea freaks me out because I want to know what kind of creature would it
Doctor,
take to
yes.
survive that pressure.
Right.
Call me
Like,
by your
what,
name.
Is Godzilla really down there?
No, what
He
was
could
that
be.
movie? No, what was the movie that was just in the deep sea? The big giant shark. What was that one?
Oh,
The
Mag.
Mag.
Or Mag?
Megalodon or whatever. Or not? No, not Megalodon. What was it called?
Meg.
It was Meg.
The Meg. That's it.
The Meg.
Wasn't it called the Meg?
It's just Meg.
It's just Meg. Okay,
Yeah.
that was a good movie.
It was. It was fun.
I mean, that's the
But
thing.
no, yeah,
We
Deep sea
can't
is terrifying.
we can't get deep enough to find any of that kind of shit out. Like,
No, people just
that's what
speculate.
drives
That's
me
why I said so
crazy.
much is speculation, and people just buy it. Like, oh, it's a scientist. He knows the Earth is made of, metal and burning. It's like it could be a fucking swimming pool. For all we know, you know what I mean? There's no way to prove it. Zero
till
Well,
we do
in our
it.
current state.
I wouldn't say zero. I mean, okay, so
We can't. Like, look it up. You can see the furthest hole we've ever dug, and it's not even
Oh, I'm sorry. I guess I was
remotely
talking more about the
close.
sun. The sun I could see more than the core of the Earth, I suppose. Just because
Oh,
the sun, there could be debris that travels, collected, whatever.
And so you think debris that allegedly came from the sun, 90 fucking light years away, you think
The whole
is
town
accurate?
changed when Jobs came back.
It's beyond far.
What is that? Did some sassy woman just come up behind you?
Yeah, I had a video start playing. I had to stop
Oh,
it.
okay. No, I'm not saying it's like everything they say is gospel, but I could see more coming from verification of the sun's materials than I could from the core if we've never even scratched it.
Like, I don't
What
even
about
know how
DC, guys?
how do you, if you're gonna dig a hole straight down, like, I don't even know what the next step is. Like, do you follow behind whatever's boring through the?
You can't. The pressure would kill you. You're dead.
I don't know if it's pressure. I thought it was heat.
It's the same thing. Think about being underwater too. Once
Yeah,
you go
underwater,
down,
the pressure.
you're below sea level and all that shit. You're gone.
I'm not sure that applies for.
Oh, it does. It does.
Yeah.
So pressure would kill you, not the heat.
The pressure would
We don't even
probably
know if it
kill
is
you
heat.
before you get to the heat.
I stand educated today. Then I didn't know that.
yeah.
I mean,
Hey,
it's the
Danny
same
falls
thing.
asleep.
Like
Oh, no.
why it took them so long to actually find the Titanic and things like that. They just didn't have a craft that could go down that far into the ocean to see it until just recently.
Well, that's what blows my mind is we have the crafts to take us to not deep space, but like Mars and all these other places, but we don't have a craft that can actually explore our entire planet, nonetheless other planets. Like, that's what blows my mind.
Well, that's why it's potentially alleged. We don't know what we've done up there.
No,
if
Stuart,
anything.
we do not have any flat earthers.
Oh God, no.
He's asking. He said, "I hope we don't have any flat earthers." I'm
No.
like,
No.
nope.
We do have people who believe the moon landing was fake, though.
Oh, for sure.
I mean,
What do you
my
think,
thing
Garen?
is
you,
that
you didn't give an opinion, Garon.
on the
Pro or
I don't
anti?
my heart wants to believe that that was real, that we reached that feat. But I mean, I do have that little lizard part of my brain that's like everything that we've ever been told is a lie. So,
Okay, you know what's funny, and this might be the asshole in me.
Lloyd,
but
for
who's
real,
the guy,
right?
Who's the guy landed on the moon again?
Armstrong?
Armstrong.
Was it Armstrong?
Yeah.
He's still alive, isn't he, or he just died?
No, I think he's dead.
One of them's dead. I think.
Well,
the-
isn't there a
are they both dead
surviving
now?
member?
I don't know.
Okay, even before then. I'm sorry, but I would be that asshole. Like, I would keep it until my dying breath, and then I would tell the world it was fake as I was going.
Well, somebody asked Buzz, or I think it was Buzz, and Buzz punched him in the fucking face. He's
Wait,
like,
what?
the moon landing is fake, and then he got Buzz Aldrin knocked his ass out.
Well, there you go. That's a testament of love. That Kyle's convinced now.
So, or maybe it was
Well,
Neil
Buzz
Armstrong.
Aldrin
One of them punched out some conspiracy dude who was like, "Tell us that the moon landing is fake," and he's like, "You want to know it's fake?" And he knocked him out.
What is he, a pro wrestler? Don't they do that when you say wrestling's fake?
I don't know.
But no, like, honestly, I would be that guy. If I had that big of a secret. Oh, even like what Danny just said about Billy the Kid. If I was that sheriff, as I lay dying, I would have told everyone there, haha, you fell for it. That guy is still alive.
So it's just interesting to me that we have so many, and it's, to me, there's safely believing in conspiracy theories, and there's unsafely believing in it. Like, QAnon is not safe. Dabbling in it and being curious about it and being like, geez, I wonder if maybe that's true. That's
Okay.
different. But why is it so? It's just
everyone wants
interesting
life
why
to be
it's
a
so
movie.
fascinating, that kind of stuff.
Because everyone wants life to be a movie.
Good night, Adam.
We see all these great things in like fiction and like gotcha moments and like, you know, what aliens and whatever it is. Like, everyone wants that to be a reality, whether they admit it or not. We want something fantastic and out of this world to happen. And usually the truth is life is boring as hell, and that ends up being closer to the truth. But it comes down to all these conspiracy theories, like a lot of them that are just more outlandish. Oh, do you guys believe in the Illuminati?
I believe that there's organizations above governments. I don't necessarily know if it's an Illuminati.
I mean, do you believe in like the stonemasons orchestrating everything from the shadows, the skull, like that whole thing?
I don't think there's one organization overseeing the world. Do I think it's possible there are organizations overseeing certain aspects of political things? Possibly, yes. I wouldn't be, especially, big money makes big decisions. That's true.
Yeah, but how in this information age, in this world and how would something like that stay hidden? Area 51, how does something like that stay hidden?
It doesn't stay hidden. It is real. We've seen it. There are photographs of it.
Okay, but no. They've acknowledged it exists. They've acknowledged that something like that is out there, but do we know exactly what's in there? No.
No, we don't. What's in there is probably nothing
There's
now.
so many whistleblowers in this world. So many people. If you're telling me of all the soldiers and troops and everybody who has ever stepped foot in Area 51, over the years, not one of them hasn't left a memoir, left a secret note, left something in their will, left a hidden decrypted message to leak to tabloids for money. You're telling me not one
You can actually, I don't know if I can't remember if it's Area 51, but there are stories, Ian, about people who attempt to do that, and then you can follow up. They vanish.
There is somebody
The
who's
fact that
also.
you're telling me that means that if that were the case and that's happening, either people aren't believing it, which I find hard to believe, or it's just part of that more of that fantasy machine.
Because look
people
what
want it to be
happens when
spectacular.
somebody comes out and exposes something. Look what happened to Edward Snowden. He came out and exposed that the government was spying on on United States citizens, and he was demonized to the point that he cannot step foot in this country again.
I know.
And people that he was protecting and speaking out for want him dead.
No, I understand that there's not a lot of reason to do it to stay in the country, but someone on their deathbed, someone that just wants it, some brave soul. I just find it hard to believe that in this day and age with so much available technology, I feel like it's impossible to keep a true secret.
Yeah, people.
I just think it's the threats. I mean, it's like
But what threat is there if you're dying anyway?
Your
No,
family.
Maybe at that
Your
point you're
family.
delusional.
Okay, that
and-
could be. You're right. It could be
Yeah.
family, but you're telling me that every human being over the course of 60 years, not one of them took that risk?
I mean,
Real
I
risk?
it's just hard to say, but I'm just saying if somebody said, listen, Danny, you know something, and if you said anything, when you're on your dying deathbed, I'm going to take all your kids out, and I'm going to take your wife out, and I wouldn't say a word. I
know
would
you
just go with
wouldn't.
it.
I
But I
agree with
believe
that.
there's a lot, I would say 99% of people in the world would go, okay, I'm not going to say a word because I don't want this particular loved one. The only type of person that would have a possibility of doing it is like a loner, somebody who doesn't have family,
Well,
doesn't
that's
have
what I'm saying.
anything to care for.
Yeah.
But you
And
got to ask yourself this: knowing that Area 51 is what it is, and knowing that let's just say there was an alien per se, I got to believe it's probably less than 100 people who have ever been in there or have ever saw it in the history of it being there. I just don't believe that it's open even to people that are working on that Air Force base. I don't even believe that. I would say it's probably less than a couple handfuls that have ever saw anything.
And
that know
all
anything.
in
So
all
you gotta
honesty,
think about, like, this whole deathbed. Someone could have, and I know this is like, ooh, it's a movie or whatever, but there's the case of two, like, well, they're at the age just in case. Let's have them,
Lord.
they're gonna have a heart attack. Something like that could easily be staged.
but it's
There's
also
ways to take
Is
these
that-
people out. Like,
if
There's two scenarios. So everyone's heard of Area 51. We all know about it. It's all talked about.
heavily
And-
guarded, yeah.
And the U.S. government has not tried to hide that it exists. They're like, yeah, it's there. They won't tell you what's in there, but it's there. And they feed off the drama of people speculating. I don't believe there's a lot in there that people are all.
Oh,
worked up over. Do I
there's
believe
nothing
there's
there.
An alien dangling on the walls. I don't.
Well, I'm
believe
going to
that.
tell you, have you ever been to Roswell?
I'm not.
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you this. It is a tourist trap, fun town. I mean, there's an alien ship that's crashed into the McDonald's. You can take pictures with every single
Oh, I believe it.
alien all over the entire town. There's even like a scavenger hunt where you can go to the different places. But the one thing that you can't do is where they supposedly the airship crashed. You cannot go on that farm. They won't let you. They claim that the people that own the farm will shoot you for trespassing, and they will not allow you near it.
What I'm
And
saying
Area
though
51
is
in
that-
White Plains, I think it's White something, New Mexico. I forget the exact city, but you can't. It's so heavily fenced off, you couldn't even drive within 20 miles of that.
Yeah, I just find it hard to believe that the U.S. government, knowing that everyone knows this and knows that it's there, is just that flippant about it. I think they enjoy the public attention. I think
it's their what's the word I'm looking, MacGuffin, basically. It's their distraction.
Well, that's part of it. That's what I'm thinking too, and also that's why I think there's nothing that's that harmful there. I think it's
There's
all a red
nothing
herring.
at Area 51. Nothing
at all.
Period. Nothing.
And I honestly
There's
don't
nothing
believe
there.
there ever was anything that drastic.
They're,
I really
if
don't.
anything, they're just testing technology.
Well, yeah,
that's
I
it.
believe they're testing things there, but do they have alien corpses there? Now, do I believe in aliens? I like to think that I do. I believe that they're... I find it to be very arrogant that we as humans believe that this planet is literally the only thing
In the entire
universe
universe, exactly.
that has intelligent life. I think that is the most vainglorious thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
Well, see, the
Like
other
to-
thing that really airs, like, if you had, like, let's just say we had a space shuttle of 10 guys and it went to Mars and it just miraculously crashed on Mars and it just disappeared. I gotta believe that we would send a whole bunch of different crafts and people going looking for it. And my thing is like, if this thing really did crash and we really did capture the alien bodies, somewhere along the lines, one of those alien, whether it's a Air Force of aliens or a family member of an alien, would come looking for it somewhere down the road. I mean, it's been so many years and they're going to say this is the only one that's ever done it. Come on.
Well, there's a school of thought on that, and I guess if we go to media, we can go to like Star Trek on this. There could be so the way I see it, if there was an alien craft, we've already determined that it couldn't be from this. I mean, we could be wrong, but our little, I guess what you want to call it, our little galaxy or whatever, our solar or whatever, we've seen all the planets around us. There's no intelligent life there that we see. So this had to travel a good distance. So these aliens, what was this, in the 60s, or when did Roswell happen supposedly?
The 40s, I think, 1940.
Oh, even earlier. Okay, 40s.
maybe.
So
41.
these people who are far more advanced than we are now zoomed in, crashed, oops, and we caught them. So I guess the whole thought process is that we were deemed, you know what I mean? These aliens could deem us like monkeys pretty much. And
Right,
just-
ants.
Yeah, like, and they don't want to disrupt our life. That's like a Star Trek thought process. Like, you
ears
don't,
itching
it's
like
called
crazy.
like the prerogative or whatever. You don't go to a
See,
primitive society.
I would look at it as I would look at it like the other end of the spectrum. It's like if we went to Mars right now and we said our little drone captures this gigantic lit up city of just amazing technology. You don't think right now that we got 10,000 people on another plane going to see what's going on with that?
Well,
I mean,
that's
I can't believe
different.
it.
But he's saying
No, it's
that's
the
the
opposite.
opposite. That's
I'm
saying,
saying-
oh my god, they're so advanced. He's
Okay.
saying, oh my
No,
god, they're so special. They're little.
Okay,
No,
Danny,
what I'm saying
They can't
is-
do anything.
No, you're not getting my point. My point of the whole situation is like all these different aircrafts that of alien per se that have come here and that we've seen supposedly and we've got on radar and we've got on pictures and cameras. They're actually coming here. If they saw us and they saw cities and they saw people, they saw our F-16 bombers shooting at them, whatever, and don't you think they would send armies of people here to investigate what the hell we are?
No,
Not
here's
if it's
why,
like
Danny.
we look like an ant. Like they're like, oh my
Danny,
god,
do you
we're like they're
inspect
from the Stone
ant you
Age.
step on in your boot? What I'm saying is that
If we saw an ant, just an ant, right now on Mars, and found an ant that was crawling on the surface of Mars, we would be all over that because it's
But
a new
wait,
life
but-
that we never expected to ever
and you're
find.
assuming these aliens didn't know about our existence well ahead of time, and we're just something they guinea pig and watch over.
No, I'm just
Yeah.
saying like that if you saw a bunch of ants on Mars, even if you saw it 30 years ago, you would go, "Oh my god, this is the only time we've ever saw an ant on a different planet." We would have been to Mars 70 times if we
No,
saw it
I
in
know,
the
but
30s.
that's you're also thinking from a full human point of view.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is this: is that, like I said, I used the Star Trek reference. They have their prime directive. That is that you don't engage in a primitive society with technology that would alter the course of their future. So for them, for example, like if they had the capability to fly across space, galaxies light years away, and they see us that are pretty much monkeys scratching our head, eating bananas, and we don't know what the hell we're doing. The thought process would be that if they came over and got their guys, or they came over and started sending, they would disrupt the entirety of our planet, and it would throw us into chaos.
I get it, but it's just like you got one ship that just at a time, because you don't ever see more than one, but one ship comes here and reports and goes, yeah, I see a bunch of monkeys scratching their heads doing shit, but they're firing at me or something like that. You don't think immediately there'd be 30 other ships going, what the fuck?
Not if it
But
was, I mean,
look-
that sounds cheesy, but what if they were like kids taking a joyride because it's that easy and then they crash? So on the news in their place, they're like, oh, little Billy and Susan went to frickin' Earth and crashed, so silly them. Like,
No,
you know
you're
what I
right.
mean? It could be
But
that insignificant, so they're not going to send a ward to kill an ant.
No, but you're right, but that's what I'm saying. But Billy and Susan's mom or dad or aunt or uncle would come
Are
looking for them.
consoled. No, they would know. It'd be all over the
And
news.
what if this alien race has no love for their children? They're like,
Yeah,
you
they're
know,
like,
they
fuck
eat
them.
they
That
actually
we
eat
told
their
them
young.
not to go. They're
What's up,
fucking
millionaire?
stupid,
Thanks for
they're out
coming in.
past curfew.
I mean, I
Yeah,
just
they're like,
look at
oh
it like,
well.
if Rory, my kids went off to South Africa to go hiking through the mountains, and they got we told them not to go because there's a bunch of people that are cannibalists up there and they might eat you, and they go missing. I'm still fucking going.
Yeah,
I'm
but what if you
But
get to
you're
the report,
also-
we found Rory and he was eaten? You know what happened. You're assuming that these people don't know. It could be all over the news. Susan and Billy just died on Earth. We told them not to go, so they just mourn and they move on with their lives.
But
It's insignificant.
you're also giving them you're humanizing them. You're giving them
Right. Yeah,
human
that's what I was trying to
emotions
say.
and human theories and human and processes. These people there's actually theories that the aliens that are visiting us are human beings.
right.
But
Yeah.
the thing is that if they have the capability to travel, and I think Ian was trying to say this, millions of light years to us, then they are at a intelligence level that is so far beyond us that we can't fathom what it is. So they either came here and we immediately murdered them, which is what human beings do.
We do that.
And they're like, these people are savages. We don't want to. They're blacklisted.
Right.
They're in the no-fly zone or whatever. And maybe them sending people here every once in a while is them checking to see if we have evolved out of our violent capabilities.
Savage. Yeah.
And now we're devolving.
Yeah, we are.
We are.
But
We're
that's
killing
what,
ourselves.
That's why I kept referencing Star
That's
Trek.
why we
'cause I
need
always liked that
Republicans.
I always liked that
God.
idea because, like, great. You know, like, there was the first, I don't know if you ever saw Star Trek First Contact. Did you see it, Garon?
Yes, I have.
I love that concept of the idea of how how Earth got into the Federation. It was literally exactly what I described. Like, humans were, like, always looked at, but they weren't recognized because they hadn't produced warp capability. So, until that Cochrane guy finally produced a warp-capable vessel, then the Vulcans came down and said, okay, you've entered the arena of the universe. Like, you are now warp-capable. And, like, it was almost like a coming to, like, the aliens finally said, hey, you're ready to go. Like, I like that idea. It's, of course, again, it's movies, romanticized.
But let's look at it from an overview. Let's look from, if we're a society that is evolved to the point of having space travel to that effect, obviously you probably most likely have evolved beyond violence among your people. You've evolved beyond war. You've evolved beyond poverty, starvation, and you come to a place like Earth and you look down on it where our governments are letting people die purposely, where people can't even have a home to call their own in their homelands. Why would you want to interact with us as a people? I barely want to interact with us as a people, and I'm a human.
There's very few people I want to interact with.
What purpose do we as humans have to anybody else in the galaxy if there are aliens in the world? What purpose do we have? None. They can learn nothing from us. There's no benefit to them doing anything for us, with us. Why?
You're assuming a lot of things when you say that.
Like what?
Well, it's a
Like you're
safer
assuming
side.
like hey, that one, if they're not human beings, that they could learn what a human being actually is. They could learn a different language. They could learn a different society. They could learn how different cultures or breeds or races interact with each other that they've never had before. I mean, that's what we would be looking for if we were to find somebody else on a different planet. Like, are they more advanced than us? Do they know? Are they less
Well,
advanced
if they're
than
here,
us?
of course they're more advanced than us.
That's the
Well,
thing.
that's the point, Danny,
Anything
is
we
that
have
that's-
for them, they already know.
We're on the down looking up. They're on the up looking down.
That's
So-
that's a hypothesis. That's not a fact.
There is no debating that, Danny. If so, we'd already be to them. We don't have the capability to leave our solar system. We can barely get to Mars. If they are able to travel through solar systems, warp speed, freaking, light years travel, they are technologically way more advanced than us.
Right.
There's no questioning that.
There's no debating
Technologically,
that.
no debating technologically. Yes, you are absolutely 100% correct. But I'm talking about more than just technology. I'm just saying, like, if it's the same thing, it's like if we went to a different planet and saw a whole thing of green ants, we would be so excited about green ants. We want to learn everything about them, even though, like you said, what does it have to benefit us? Nothing. What do we learn by watching an ant crawl across Mars? Nothing. But every single scientist in the history of mankind, because they've never seen an ant before, they've never on Mars, they've never seen a insect on Mars, would be so excited they would flock to try to get there to learn all about it. And I
Yeah,
just think it would
because
be the same.
we don't know about these things. I'm saying
Yeah,
that
also-
if they're technologically advanced to be able to travel here, then they already know anything that they can learn from us. And they probably learned it from us already.
But here's the other side of that too, Danny.
Oh, because I saw your
you have
email,
to
but
hear-
we already talked about that, so I don't want to go back to that stuff. Thank you, though.
We talk about the ants. You keep bringing up ants. Yeah, you're right. We consider ants mindless little creatures. Now, so there's two scenarios in that part where they could visit us and look at us as an experiment, try to analyze us from a distance where we don't know they're watching us. Or if they're as narrow-minded as it could be, they would have already killed us.
And I don't
They
think
could've
we
came over here and
necessarily
destroyed us.
know everything we can know about ants anyway. I saw this video on TikTok where this guy, where he would put a cracker down, and this ant would come every day to this cracker, and then he would go back to his colony, tell his colony that the cracker was there, and then when he came back, the cracker was gone. He did this every day for like a week or 2 weeks. And then one day, the ants murdered the ant that kept telling him where the cracker was. They literally executed him publicly where the cracker was supposed to be. This guy posted on TikTok. It was bananas.
Why? Because the cracker wasn't
Because he
there?
took the cracker
Because
that's not there.
he
the one
kept
day.
he kept going back and saying, "Guys, there's food. There's a cracker," or whatever ants say.
You don't speak Antonese?
I don't speak Antonese, no. But
Well,
there's
Well,
no.
what do you guys think about, like, on the vein of aliens, though? What about all these speculation about these people who have allegedly been abducted? I mean,
it's all bullshit.
I don't.
I mean,
know
could
about that.
everyone though? Like, that's what I'm saying. That's what we just believe.
Who
But
started
could
the
there?
theory about anal probing? There is no way
Well,
that
I
they
don't
have
know.
come
I'm saying
light
I know
years
it's
away
South
to
Park.
dildo us in the ass.
Why not? We
just
dissect
don't.
animals.
We don't stick probes up their assholes.
Of course they do. They fuck them. They check. They use cameras. They do
Yeah,
that
and
with
then
everything.
the animal goes back and it only reports the anal probing. It doesn't talk about any of the other shit they
Well,
did.
our animals can't say anything, but we experiment on all the animals we
I just
find. We
wanna-
cut them open, we split them open, we check
They
their
travel
blood.
light years to.
I loved how he said,
ass
"We
to
fuck
us."
them." Excuse me, your job. I want you to go in there right now and bone that sheep and
Yeah,
tell me
Yeah,
all
who's
about
the
it.
probist? Who gets that job?
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know how far it goes. I'm just saying, like,
Well,
like,
that goes back to what we talked about.
could it
Kyle, is,
exist?
Are aliens traveling that far to just randomly abduct people?
A very nice Hank Swink.
Well, it's like Danny said, and he's not wrong. You don't think we would take an ant home with us? Hell yeah, we would.
Yeah, we
but
would.
That's the other side.
we'd
of it, though.
experiment
Like,
on it.
Yeah, you take an ant home. Yeah, that's fine, and maybe there is some truth to it. I just find it highly unlikely.
But I don't
One-
think that you would take that ant back, though, Kyle. That's the thing. I don't think you would.
No, but again, this is more about technologies. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like-
but I'm saying if somebody took somebody from Earth, like they wanted to test them and experiment on them, I don't think that they're bringing them back to Earth. And that was more of the wives' tale that people used to say is like, oh yeah, an alien took me, he anal probed me, and he did all this shit, and then he returned me.
How would we know
my-
though? There's no way to
Return
say
them.
he would or wouldn't. Maybe
That's
he
a good
wanted to
point.
like let them know, like, yes, we exist, like tell our story, but
Well,
nobody's gonna
here's
believe
what the
you.
real truth is: they didn't know the effects of LSD back then, and they were all tripping. And then they got anally probed by another man.
Well, I know. I'm
thing,
saying
or
I'm not.
creature.
I don't know, of course, if they're true or not. I'm saying, but there's really no way to say yes or no. Of course, it's easier to go, no, that can't happen because it's so far fetched. But I
So
mean,
I'm
my
a believer in the far fetched. I just find it illogical.
my thought on that is that there are a lot of stories that are eerily similar.
right.
Not necessarily in terms of anal probes or whatever
Well,
the fuck.
right. That's
but
what I'm saying. People hear one story and they blow it up like, oh, that's all they get done. There's many stories where no, there's no anal fucking probes involved.
Lloyd, that's not Lloyd. The oaf in chat says hot take alien abductions are those sleep paralysis stories, which
Oof.
Oof, sleep
Garen's
paralysis scares the hell out of me.
Garon experienced that.
yeah,
You really get that?
I do.
Yeah.
You see the demons?
Yep. I don't see. No. I don't see.
He sees shadow.
I see shadow. I know something
way,
is
that's
there. It
terrifying.
is. It's fucking horrifying. It's the worst part is feeling like there's somebody. This is wow. We took a real quick turn, but the worst part is feeling that somebody is there staring at you and trying to pull yourself out of sleep. That's the worst part because it feels like you're trying to sit up, but something's like you're just held back.
Yeah, didn't you have a finger on your chest once when you were younger? Like you could see that thing holding you down by your chest and you literally couldn't move?
Oh God, I don't remember that.
That's what you said in the closet at Dad's or whatever.
No, that's when I saw a ghost. There was
Well,
a ghost
I
at the
know
front of
that
my
too.
bed. Oh, you're talking about the one where I opened the door and I got hit with the ball.
Was it
No,
Danny
I
that
remember
threw the ball
that
at you?
too.
Yeah, did we talk about this last week? But I opened the door.
No.
I was asleep in my room, and it's weird because I would always sleep with my back against the wall, so that I could see the room if I opened my eyes. And this time I went to sleep facing the wall, and I heard like, I don't know if I can do it. It was like just a tap, like a knock on the door, like just a quick little dot, not anything heavy, not anything, jarring
But
or
enough to
whatever,
wake you up?
but enough that I woke up and was like, what? So I got up, and I like heard it again, and I got up, and I went to the door, and I opened the door, and it was a wall of black, just pitch solid black. Like, so remember where my room was, where like I was across from Dad's room. So if you open the door, you could see down the hallway
Dad's
enough
room.
to see where Dad's door is or whatever.
Yeah.
I could see nothing. It was just a void. So I'm just standing there and I'm like looking and I see nothing. And then all of a sudden I feel like I'm hit. And I hear like bonk. And it felt like one of those dodgeballs you used to have when you were a kid at school.
Yeah.
It felt like that fucking bounced off my head and I fell down to the ground. Like
So
on
it
my
hit you
back.
from behind?
No, it hit me from the hall.
Oh.
Came flying in the room, hit me, and I fell back to the ground. And I just heard, I'm gonna get real close to the mic. And I'm sorry, this is gonna be annoying holding it, but I hear,
Oh,
just a giggle.
was it shining?
I don't know what the fuck it was, but I feel like something else happened after that, and I'm forgetting what it was. But
Reveal, it was Kyle the whole time.
I know. Spoiler alert, 20 years later.
Actually,
Yeah.
it was the cutout
Karen.
Elvis.
It was Karen.
yeah, Michael Jackson visited me. Yeah, Stuart, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yoo-hoo blanket.
Oh, God.
Oh, did I tell you? I know I told Kyle before, but it's weird you say that because now you're making me think that I'm convinced now that I was also haunted in a similar manner. When I was little, I stayed at my Oma's house and me and my sister had to share a bed. We were like really young.
Your what's
And
house?
Two events happened. Huh?
Your what?
My Oma, grandma in German.
Oh, okay.
they were in Rochester. We were at their house, and we were sharing this bed. I remember waking up in the middle of the night, and I couldn't. It was like pitch black in the room, but it made no sense because there was a window, and you could see like the night, the moon coming through the window. And my parents were in the room too, in another bed. And I knew that my sister was next to me, but I remember this vividly. I remember putting my arms out, and I couldn't feel anything. And I put my arms to the side, and I was against the wall, and I felt nothing on the wall. And I swear to God, it literally felt like the bed was floating. I remember frantically moving my arms and legs around, and I couldn't feel my sister next to me, and I couldn't see anything around me. And then I remember just passing out after that. And then in that same room, I told you about this, Kyle, the creepy paint by color.
Uh-huh.
I swear, you cannot convince me to this day I didn't see this. She had this really old paint by color up in this room, and it was like something like someone did forever ago. It was like literally ancient. And it was a little boy, and he was fishing at a lake or like a pond, and he had his little dog with him. And I remember every night when I fell asleep that it really creeped me out, but I'd wake up in the middle of the night and I'd look at that picture because the moonlight would shine on it, and the boy would change his actions. He would never move, but the picture would change whenever I looked at it. So like one moment he's sitting with his back to the tree, kind of just like relaxing with his dog, and then the next like I'd wake up and look, and he's sitting on the boat, and the dog's on the shore, and he's fishing. And then I'd like look later, and he wouldn't even be in the picture at all, just be the dog. And the image constantly changed whenever I looked at it. I got so scared to the point whenever we stayed there, I made her take the picture out of the room. She had to take it off the wall and take it out of the room every single night. I got that scared about it.
Weird.
You cannot convince me. I will die on that hill. I was absolutely mortified in that house. So, ghosts are real. Believe it.
Well,
Did you ever see that movie, The Entity, Garon?
I don't remember if I have it here. I don't know if I've actually seen the whole thing.
That movie to this day is the scariest movie I've ever seen. To this day, of all the movies I've ever seen, that's the scariest movie I've ever seen, and because it's a true story.
Mm-hmm.
The original not Poltergeist. The Exorcist is the one that gets me.
Well, just because that entity was a true story was the one that's why it eerily irked me.
Too, based on true events.
Yeah, The Exorcist was about a 12-year. The original story of The Exorcist was about a young boy.
Yeah.
What's the entity about?
This girl who gets attacked by a ghost.
Very nice, Stuart. So this lady
Sexually
she lived
attacked.
in this. So it's funny. So this lady, she's in this house, and she keeps getting like sexually attacked by this ghost, and like you can see like fingerprints all over her body and stuff like that, and everybody thinks she's weirded out. So she gets these paranormal activity guys, and she tells them all this stuff, and they keep recording it, and they can feel the presence, but they don't know what's there. So what they decided to do was they went inside a high school gymnasium, and they recreated her house inside this gymnasium, and they put oxygen tanks all around the entire gymnasium. So what happened was when she went in this house, she was acting like normal, and she went to bed like normal, and sure enough, the ghost came in there and started raping her, and they let these oxygen tanks go off to freeze the ghost, and it froze the entire outside of the entire gymnasium. It was like the ghost filled up the entire gymnasium.
Oh.
It was like it was like so freaking weird.
Ugh.
And they documented it, like they have stories.
Oh,
about, like,
Jesus
what's happening.
Christ, Slappy
Yes.
Yoda. Welcome to the party, pal.
Did that scare you? Your notification?
Yeah, it did. Thank you for the follow, sir.
But Kyle,
Well,
you should watch
ma'am.
it sometime. It's a freaky movie.
I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, you hear the story about how I got haunted when someone wrote my name in knives in Kyle's house? That's a real story.
Oh, I did that.
I saw the ghost at my dad's house in the front. That's what the other thing Kyle was talking about is when I woke up and saw the thing standing at the foot of my bed, just staring at me.
Was it Elvis?
No, it wasn't Elvis. I don't remember what it looked like. Did
they not get you with the Elvis, Garon?
No, what are you talking about?
Oh my gosh. Me and Kyle, he says it was more than once it happened to him. We came home one night and it was like pitch black in the house that you lived at. and we went up in the hallway, and in Kyle's room, shining in
No
the
worries,
moonlight,
slap.
was a 6-foot tall man standing in Kyle's room.
We shit
And it was-
ourselves.
And we shit ourselves, hit the lights, and it was a cutout of Elvis.
Oh
what
yeah,
place
that cutout of Elvis was in his
Oh.
basement.
Yeah, I never
Yeah,
saw.
they
I don't
put it
think I've ever even
everywhere.
saw that. I remember having the
Like,
Freddy
Cindy
Krueger
would just
one.
leave it around the house to terrify.
I remember having the Freddy Krueger cutout and putting that around and scaring people. Like I scared Lisa once with it so bad that she almost got bit by the dog, Kella or whatever
Oh
that
my
dog's name
God.
was.
Oh god.
You use Elvira too for that. Put
You
her
had
at
an
the top
Elvira
of the
cutout?
steps. Uh-huh.
Did I? I don't remember that.
It was at Mom's. It was at Tackles.
Yeah, I thought that's where I did the Freddy one.
Tackles?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember there being an Elvira cutout at your house in Tackles.
I think Chris had one.
What?
Yeah. Or not Tackles. I'm sorry. It was Woods Court. Sorry.
I'm about to say it was not a. I would have seen Elvira in her knockers.
Woods Court, where Garon saw the biggest spider of his life that we couldn't find.
Oh yeah.
Oh, the one in the washer.
It was, well, that's where Chris ended up finding it, but Garon said it was on his bed.
It was crawling on, because I used to have my bed set up where the mattress was on the floor and the springboard was up like a wall next to me for some reason. And I was laying on the bed and I looked over on that wall thing that I'd made and it was crawling. It looked like the size of a hand. Just this big brown black fucking demon thing crawling towards me. And I never was I ever afraid of spiders before that moment, and now they scare the shit out of me. It was like the
literally
king spider.
Screamed and was I thought he was being murdered because my room was way upstairs and Garon was way in the basement. And then you hear, stop, run, did stop running, and then of course because he knows I'm terrified, and he's like, come look at us. I'm like, fuck no. And then we went anyway, and then it was gone.
Yeah, I never slept in that basement again.
Nope. And Chris, actually, big macho man Chris, he later, because he was looking for it, and he dropped a sock behind the washer, and he found its nest. He goes, yeah, he wasn't kidding. He could literally see its fangs moving back and forth. He said it was huge.
Honest to God, I've never seen. You'd think I was in the rainforest or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I believed it after.
Australia,
I'm glad I
it's a
didn't see it, but
place.
yeah, when Chris said, yep, I could literally see every one of its eyes, and its fangs were just twiddling.
Kyle,
Alright,
if you
well,
would
Sit
have,
behind the dryer.
you would have never left the house. You would have left that house and never gone back.
Oh, never. I'm glad I didn't see it. I would have never, ever,
I
ever,
don't know how
ever
you
gone
slept
there.
in there after that. Ugh.
Because
I didn't.
almost thought he was like kidding, kind of. He kept, because he was Garon. He was still Demon Garon.
That's true. Demon
So I was like, I don't know, and I just, because you want to see it to make sure, but then when I never saw it, I'm like, all right, he's just pulling my fucking leg. And then Chris later, nope, I found it. It was a sight to behold.
All right, well, listen, I have never seen this late in my entire life, so I have to be up in like 4 hours to take my kid ice skating.
wow.
So I'm gonna sign off.
All right.
So, until we do it again,
See you next time.
good night.
Night.
Only you.
Did you actually hear the story about what Kyle did to me at freaking? What was that? Was that?
He was there.
You were there? Was that you?
With the knives?
Yeah.
I
was
don't
that you?
remember
I
it,
don't
but I'm
remember you
sure I
being there.
probably was. That sounds something like I would do.
No, remember we had Steve
Was he
Roth
part of
call.
the Steve Roth prank that went on for 6 months after?
He knew.
What was that?
You knew?
That
You know
Steve
what
would
happened? That
call
we
him.
were playing Ghosts in the Graveyard.
No, wait. What happened then?
We were playing
You were
Ghosts
there,
in the
Garen.
Graveyard at your house on Tackle. Was it on Tackles?
It was at Chipman.
With the big
Chipman.
living room?
Chipman house.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Uh-huh.
were playing Ghosts in the Graveyard, and we were out there, and it was freaky as hell. And then we came inside, and I don't know who snuck. Was it you, Kyle, that snuck back?
I put the knives, but Garon even told, like, I'm like, should I do this? What should I do? He's like, yeah, do the butcher knives. And then I used the butcher knives to spell your name.
Someone said they heard something or whatever, and they were a pretty good actor, if I recall. And then we went inside the house, and my name was spelled out in butcher knives on the counter. You don't remember this?
Vaguely.
And then we had Steve
vaguely.
Roth call with the fake thing. And
Yeah,
he told
I
Ian,
was
he's
convinced
like, you're
it
at
was
5252 Chipman Drive.
Yeah,
And he's like,
he
no,
called
fuck
me
this.
at Kyle's house, and Kyle's like, weird, someone's asking for you on the phone. And I pick up and it's a voice changer like from Scream. And they're like, "You're at 5252 Chipman Drive, Waterford, Michigan." I'm like, I was absolutely mortified. And then it called me at my house because Kyle gave it my number. So he called me at my house and then gave me my house address in Waterford and did the same thing. And I literally was terrified. I thought I was in a movie and that I was gonna die. I wouldn't listen to Kyle when he tried to tell me.
I know, we're like, I did it, like, and we're like, why would we let this happen and nonchalantly say we're kidding? Like, it's a joke.
I was convinced. I was literally convinced that there was a psycho killer after me, and I would not listen to Kyle. Listen here, stuff and such, Jason. It's not funny. It was a terrible and traumatic experience for a young lad, and they should be ashamed of what they did.
Unreal.
Parts in it. Oh, that voice changer he had, I want that. That thing, did you hear that thing, Kyle? That thing was terrifying.
It was terrifying.
It wasn't like, it was so unnatural sounding. That's what really got me.
It almost reminded me of Mothman.
Yeah, it almost sounded robotic, but it was like very slow and deliberate. It was like 5 2 5 2. It was so weird, like.
And it had a little twinge of like little girl reverb.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, what do you think of the Mothman, Garon?
Do I think it's real or?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's the same thing as Sasquatch or Chupacabra or whatever. It's probably. It's
well, yeah, but
probably
these things
real.
That have come true, the premonitions, though. That's not like something you see. It's more like, I don't think anybody's really ever seen him, have they? Isn't it more they get calls and heads up and then shit happens?
They see the
no,
image,
the Mothman is a creature. It's not a. It's a thing that people.
Well, what about the premonitions and the calls
You're
and
thinking
stuff?
of the Mothman Prophecies, Kyle, the movie?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm referring to.
Yeah, I don't know about that part of it, but the Mothman is it's a cryptid, which is like an unexplained creature, like Bigfoot or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I suspect that is real. I don't necessarily suspect it's some evil being, but I definitely think that there's animals that we don't know about. That
you believe in Bigfoot?
I don't know.
What about Nessie?
I think at one point there was that, but I think that it's probably dead.
I think Nessie is. I think the science is too big on that. It's so full.
Or that it's a rowfish or whatever people said it was.
Yeah, there is no way a creature they even said it. There's no way a creature that size could survive in that lake.
Yeah.
The habitat would not survive in that lake.
But I think that all of these types of things are based on something that somebody really did see. And it's just something we don't know what it is. That's not to say that I don't believe that could be creatures or monsters or whatever. I mean, who knows? This world is weird enough as it is, but...
Right.
But, yeah, imagine, we were just talking about this earlier, that we haven't seen most of the ocean floor. So there could be these creatures that we never know about because they're so deep. Because Megs don't need to surface. So we could have Megs still existing that we will never see. We didn't believe that giant squids were real until they started washing up on shores.
Mm-hmm.
Recently. So, who knows? I mean, could there be some giant bird-like creature that we don't know about? Possibly. Who knows?
No, I mean, I agree that it's a who knows, but I mean, like, deep down, if I had to, like, put a gun to your head right now and say, Garon, he's here, and are you yes or no?
I don't know enough about the Mothman to be able to answer that question.
Yeah, it's just more fascinating. It's creepy.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I know of, but I don't know about.
See, it's one of these things where it's kind of like, I'm going to out myself a little bit here now that people aren't all around. Like, I kind of feel this way about religion in some ways. I feel that these creatures that people have seen, I think a lot of them are just unexplained phenomenon of the tricks of the eyes or are unexplained events that at a time when they were first discovered or thought to be real, there was no other explanation. And then as time has moved on, there's so much disproving what they think it was, they're just choosing to ignore it. Like, for example, the Nessie thing. There's absolutely no way there was a large sea creature in Loch Ness. There's just no way. The habitat couldn't survive. There was not enough fish in there. There's not enough to survive. Bigfoot. There is absolutely no way, in my opinion, that in the locations that Bigfoot was supposed, with as much technology as we have, infrared, the number of people that are actually actively looking, there's no way this creature or a set of, imagine this creature that had to birth more creatures. There's no way that this has not been discovered or found.
But
especially
what
when it's
if
been so
they
highlighted.
did exist, but have since died out?
Now, that is a possibility.
So,
as
I
far
mean,
as
they
Bigfoot
didn't have
goes.
infrared and that kind of shit for that type of search that long. Like, if we're talking 60s and 70s.
But if you're talking about a Bigfoot, are you telling me there's only been one?
No, I'm telling you that it could have already been endangered by that point.
Right.
So
could have
if it died or was killed by a bear or God knows what, maybe that's why we've never found it since. And that technology that you're saying we have now, we didn't have then, and if it's in that time. So maybe that's what happened.
That's a possibility, but to me, my mind tells me that I see it like religion, how religion was created to explain the unexplainable. When someone goes out and sees what they appear to be a walking hairy man, in reality it's a really skinny bear, and then they freak out and they're like, it's out there or whatever, or they saw a hairy dude in cloth and they start telling their friends, and then it grows into this big story, and there's no way to disprove this story. Then it becomes a myth or a legend that people start trying to justify. Same thing with Loch Ness. They saw something weird. It could have been a boat. It could have been anything. Then out of nowhere, people are trying to fabricate and create this creature that lived in this lake. And when science is telling everyone at this point, it's impossible for that to have happened, but people still want to believe it by Photoshop or by whatever they see. To me, it's just an unexplained phenomenon that people try to create a myth to explain. Kind of like religion.
That's possible. That's. But half
However,
the
the deep
fun
ocean
is I mean,
is speculation. But I'll tell you this, I'll be conspiracy theorist on this. The deep ocean, there is some terrifying shit down there.
for sure.
Mhm.
I'm talking stuff that would make aliens blush.
Yeah.
Like anything that could survive in the depths and the pressure of the deepest parts of the ocean has to be a heinous beast.
And I don't know why we haven't gone and researched that more.
So we don't have
See,
the
and that's a good point
technology.
that Jason just made about people finding dinosaur bones and a lot of that creating the dragon myths that we know today. People, in whatever times finding these large skeletons of creatures they can't explain, and then all of a sudden we're getting stories about dragons. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of
there's people who
circumstance.
don't even believe the dinosaur bones and shit we find. There's a lot of
Well,
those
there's
people.
always going to be, and there you go. There's that too. I mean, I think there's enough science backing up that there was.
Because
some
guess
sort of
what, Ian? They're
prehistoric
not in the
creature.
Bible.
Well, again, that's more of religion being created to explain the unexplainable and to create a set of rules and guidelines for people to be civilized. And that's why people, a lot of atheists and other people have looked at that and go, well, we're beyond the need for that. Therefore, why do we still have it? But that's neither here nor there. I respect all religions, for the record. Believe what you want. But in the same hand, like, I don't know. What is that? Oh, okay, that's... Yeah, someone else talk about it, though, because I'm talking too much.
I that stuff all fascinates me, and I love the idea of shit that we don't know, being discovered
And that's why
whatever.
I told you,
But
I pray that we live long enough to see a colonization of another planet. I would give anything to live long enough to, like, be on another planet or to, like, see us kind of start migrating to another planet, see what that takes. Like, I know Kyle says he doesn't believe it's even close to being possible, but, like, I love the fact, as much as Elon Musk is at times I think he's whacked beyond belief, like, the fact that he's trying for these things, I do respect a lot of.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if we'll see that. I think we will see the launch of a project like that. I just don't know
I would
if
hope
we
so.
will see it come to fruition. Like, how long does it take to get to Mars?
I think 72 months.
And that's at our current technology.
72 months? That can't be
I
right.
think. Let me double
6
check.
years?
7 months. I'm sorry, 7 months.
Oh,
Okay, that's
so
a little different.
I was like, I know there's a 7. I know that sounded a little excessive, but yeah, it's 7 months.
Here's another question. I think I've asked Kyle this before, but I read this really interesting article, Garon, about, because I'm like always fascinated with death. I'm kind of terrified of it. But I read this interesting article that said anyone, and this was like, you would fall in this because like this was like a couple years ago, but it pretty much stated that with the way technology is going, that anyone under the age of 40 now, that even with the economy and the way things tend to go, that there's a real possibility that in their lifetime, that immortality would come to fruition through the progress we're making.
Oh, I don't.
In your lifetime, if that were possible, would you go that route?
Are you asking if I would allow myself to get transferred into a into a computer?
Or whatever technology comes out that allows the common man to extend their life, would you do it?
Yes.
You're for sure on that?
Yes.
You and I are the same mind. Kyle, I think you were against it, right?
I don't know, to be honest, what I would do. It depends, because it's like, are we living immortal as a decrepit 100-year-old man?
I'm assuming at that point there would be some sort of cellular regeneration, because that would happen.
Well, what it's going to be is it's going to be consciousness transfer. It's going to be that.
Well, they're talking about, because not even so much, I mean, that's one way to go, but they're talking a lot of the research they're doing. Like, there are jellyfish in the ocean that are essentially immortal.
Mm-hmm.
There are immortal jellyfish that are like prehistoric. So they've been looking at a DNA and like, you know, cellular regeneration and stem cell research and all this stuff to like try to like recreate organs. So essentially, like, if you started to die and your heart was giving out, they would grow you a new one.
Yeah, I would. Like I mean, if I'm with Kyle on the fact that I want to be able to experience.
Well, what I'm saying is, if it goes that route, the cellular regeneration aspect of it would essentially halt aging or reverse aging.
Yeah,
so
I would do it in a
second. At that point,
second.
I doubt you'd be an old husk rolling around in like a creepy man-made wheelchair or anything like that for legs.
I still have doubts, Ian, because of the reason of like, I mean, I guess they can make their money by that, but you could argue, like, I know some people think the cure to cancer is out there and it's just a money marketing tool, but it's like there's still all these diseases that allegedly don't have cures.
Well,
so it's like, if till that, and they're talking about immortality when they don't even want to cure like AIDS and cancer, it's like, I can't see that happening.
Well, what this article was stating
too greedy
is that even like it was trying to say that we're so far along in that technology, whether it's out or not, that we were to the point that it would get, not only would it get released to the public, but just like every other technology, it would be only accessible to the rich, the wealthy, the super, you know, rich. But they said there's enough time for that process to where by the time you and I and Garon are really old men, that like it would be more of a commonplace thing for people of lower income. Like everyone would have access to this. They were saying that if you were under 40 now, you would have access to this technology at an affordable rate by the time you were an old man.
I feel like it won't ever get there because of the overpopulation rate.
I was just curious to know if you would do it. Like, I'm curious to know if you
No, I know, but I even with that, like, even that argument, I'm surprised they didn't think about how overpopulated we are and the idea that they'd let us
the other
willingly
side of it
stay
I brought
on
up.
The planet. Like,
it is
doesn't
scary
make
to
sense.
think of the resources, and that's where colonization of other planets would come in. But yeah, we already talk about how resources are scarce.
Oh yeah.
And then we push ourselves to the point where
to never die, and we
undying.
always got to eat. Yeah, it'd be insanity.
Well, I mean,
which is why green energy is so important.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that could go into that, and I definitely think that life extension is in our lifetime. I definitely think that we are going to get to the point where we can transfer from our bodies and continue to exist in a different form, whether that's digitally or in a robot body. I think like the movie, what's that one with Bruce Willis? Synthetic, not synthetic, but I don't know. But basically, it's where everybody walking around is a drone. Basically, they're robots, and you're in your house and you're just transferring to that, and that's your existence. Supplicants, maybe something like that. I don't know. Or it's going to be like a Ready Player One situation where we will live in this digital whatever. Surrogates. Thank you, Stuart. Yes. Well, Ready Player One's virtual reality, but
Jason just said, just cut my brain out and put it in a robot body.
Yeah.
Honestly. That's the thing about me. I've asked a lot of people that question about the immortality thing, and I'm shocked at how many people tell me, and it's mostly because of what Kyle said about the age. but like how many people have told me they would never do it, and I just don't understand that. Like, there's so much in this world I want to see and do, and there's so many things that I want like to see happen and where we go as a society and as a world.
I think that a lot of people,
what I'll miss.
yeah, a lot of people
What
come
if you
from a
miss
place.
by being here, though? That's the other thing about it.
Well, you have to have a really firm belief in the afterlife, which is
Yeah.
understandable.
Or two, like, I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are on like reincarnation. and stuff.
reincarnation. I was gonna go that route next.
Yeah.
I don't know about it.
I think that I believe more in that than I do in certain other things. That there's something that I thought about a lot lately, weirdly enough, is that when you die, what if the next moment you are in another life? Not necessarily you're just born, you're just in another existence at a specific point in time.
Oh God, that's how like a schizophrenic is born? They have no idea.
Yeah, like maybe the transfer doesn't set and that fucks up
Right.
their brain or something. But
Uh-huh.
but like I could die at 83 years old and then the next moment I'm a 22-year-old girl or something.
All right.
You know what I mean? And but I still retain the memories of that life. It's just
Well, what
that
about that girl before she was 22, before you came around?
I don't necessarily know if it would exist. Does that?
Okay.
It doesn't. It's weird, but it's hard to explain. Like it just. I don't know. It's bizarre.
I think the whole like it is fascinating. Like there's some weird like as you die, someone's born and it is potentially you. And I
The
don't know
only
if you
part
guys
about that I find strange and confusing is that that means you have to have some sort of belief in a soul, I guess, which is already out for debate. Because if you're really believing as, your brain is comprised of electrodes, electromagnetic, and all these things, like once you die, there is no essential way for that essence to be transported to something else, to be reborn. So you'd have to have some sort of belief in a soul that leaves your body and transfers to another being.
It's
I mean,
energy.
that's kind of what I believe in, to be honest.
I mean, that's good. That's cool if you do.
I think it's energy. Like we literally just discovered a new type of atom or something a week ago that we had never known about before. I think that if energy is possible to be conscious, then that's what we are, that we're energy powering these bodies, and that energy can be transferred to another thing.
Well, there is some science backing you, because supposedly energy can never be truly created or destroyed, right? It can only be transferred.
Mm-hmm.
You
So
know,
who
like,
knows? I mean,
supposedly.
it's either lights out, that's it, and you wouldn't know regardless because there's no consciousness. So
Right.
you wouldn't know even that the day is over.
Somehow that's my deepest, darkest fear, by the way. I have this dark fear that when you die, you're aware and you're just unable to move and in darkness, and that scares the shit out of me.
That sounds like hell.
It
Yeah.
does, and that's honestly what I'm afraid of, because we can't say it won't happen. I don't
That's
wanna
true.
believe it's
That's
gonna
why
happen.
I would never officially say, and this is it's cowardice too. It's like I don't have the hubris enough to say this is definite or this is definitive or this is reality. I don't have the knowledge.
Well, if you think about it, none of us can.
No one
No matter
does.
who you are. Zero people
Well,
have that.
okay,
but go
people
to
have the
Patty.
hubris.
Go talk to Patty. She will tell
Well,
you
I was gonna
without a
just
fathom of a
correct you and
doubt.
say, people have the hubris to assume they know, but they don't really know.
Yeah.
Right, that's what I mean.
But all of that is based in fear. It's based in oppression. It's based in I have to do this or what's the point? It's you know what I mean. It's fear that you're not important. It's fear that you're you have an expiration date. Because if you come down to it, that's exactly what religion is giving you. It's giving you immortality.
Yeah.
That's what it's giving you.
Well, it's also keeping you in line to follow a set of rules, and if you don't, you're punished. I mean,
Well, that's another discussion, but it's so. I mean, I who am I to say that that's not true though?
no, that's exactly it. None of us know for certain, but at the same time, that's what scares me. That's the one we talked about. That like we had that talk about suicide on the last week's discussion. That's why I would never have the. And you said cowardice. That's exactly what it is for me. I would be too afraid because I am afraid of what could be after life, and that's what scares the shit out of me. like I said, an existence where I'm in the ground, aware of it, and just sitting in purgatory or in this like darkness, and I can't do anything, that leads to madness. And that's why I wonder about, like, you know, you talk about like enraged spirits or whatever, if you believe in ghosts. Like, to me, that's exactly what would cause that, is somebody who lost their mind or their spiritual mind in that catatonic state of unable to do anything, and they finally, you know, have a release, and it's just madness being released, and that scares the shit out of me.
But like, what if that's what a ghost is? What if when someone dies, your energy is supposed to transport to a different situation or a different whatever, and
When you're just waiting almost.
and if it misfires or something happens to interrupt that process, that's what a ghost is, or that's what schizophrenia is, or that's what whatever is that somehow the energy transfer that was supposed to happen didn't happen correctly, and that leads to different kinds of these ghosts or mental illnesses or whatever. I know that sounds very Marianne Williamson-y or something, but who knows? It's interesting to ponder that and to think about that.
No, a lot of us will never know. That's why I was even talking to Dad about it, Garon. Like, it's just so funny to me that I wish people would have more open minds. Like, I get faith and stuff, but it's like there's 4,300 or so known religions. Who are you to say yours is the certain way? Like, how could there possibly be that many different beliefs, but somehow yours is right? You know what I mean? I don't get how people can be that arrogant.
And then you're gonna take situations that exist and make them negative. Like, if God is so perfect and he created every one of us, why did he create me in a way that he disapproves of?
Right.
You know what I mean? Why, or she?
Right.
Why?
Yeah, why would you rebel against it or whatever?
Why,
you know?
like, why do these negative situations exist if this so-called perfect being created this entire world and has a plan? Why is his plan misery for so many people?
Right.
That's bullshit nonsense. And to latch onto that and to think that that excuses what's happening is fucking evil. Look in my face. It's evil. I'm telling you right now. That's the truth. If you can look at cops murdering people, if you can look at starving people in India, people dying from fucking COVID because we are too cheap or too greedy to give them the vaccines they need, it's God's plan. Fuck you. That's whose plan it is. It's disgusting to me.
Yep.
And I don't understand. And we as a civilization, as a people, to sit back and allow these horrifying things to continue to happen and do nothing about it and excuse it away as God's plan is, it's disgusting to me. It's disgusting. Meanwhile, people like that fucking big tooth bastard Joel Osteen raking in people's money, just taking it, and then refusing to give people shelter during hurricanes. Yeah. Oh no, you can't come into my church. You're evil.
Yep.
See, I was talking this whole time muted, by the way. I'm an idiot. My biggest issue with the idea of like what you just said is okay, so people always tell you now, like, what do they try to tell you? Have faith, right? Believe in the stories. Have faith. Have faith. Have faith. But these stories are written as historical fact, right? Like, these were written as something that really happened. Mm-hmm. So what about at the time of the happening? So when Jesus turned wine to water, was that an actual event, or was someone supposed to have faith that happened back in biblical times? No, they reported it as news. So you're giving me a story that at some point someone believed to be true, but nowadays you tell me to just have faith over it. There had to have been some factual evidence to push these stories in the beginning that they ever happened. Someone had to see Jesus turn things into wine. He had to go and cure a leper. There were factual, supposed based information there that pushed people to believe that this guy was their savior. But then you fast forward thousands of years and I'm just supposed to go on word and faith, right? You can't give me a story that was factually based at some point, because if you ask any Christian, they will tell you that it's factually based, and then millions of or whatever years later go, oh, well, just believe it because you have faith. No one had faith back then. They believed the stories because they thought they were real. They were shown things, they were proven things. But now you just ask me to go with no evidence and just believe everything that I read.
But you can also take the argument that, let's say all of that is real. Great. It is cool. It is truth. That's all happened. There's a God. There's this. There's that. Fine. But to still ignore the situations that are going on in the world and not do anything about them when we have the means to do things about them.
Right.
Why? It's God's plan. This is why there's shootings every day for this past 2 weeks. It's God's plan. Why? What's his plan? What plan, what purpose does it serve to allow
Well, if you ask
that?
them, the hardship is the test of your faith. So that's the get out of jail free card every time you ask that.
Hey, yo.
It's disgusting.
It's testing your faith, Garon.
It's bullshit.
But that's my problem. If someone came to me right in the beginning and said, if a priest walked up to me and said, Ian, these stories are here to teach you a lesson. They're here as a moral only. We're supposed to believe in what they tell us. That is different than coming to me and going, Ian, these events actually happened. They believed it then. They had proof then, but that's long lost. Now just have faith. That is a completely different story. If you show me something that's meant to be a teaching lesson, and then I'm supposed to have faith in the message being sent from this figure above, that at least comes some honesty to me. But you give me a story from 1,000,000 years ago, and then tell me just to believe it now based on blind faith, when back then they didn't believe it on blind faith. I have a problem with.
Look,
That to me feels like spin.
Here's the thing. I'm not anti-religion, contrary to what it sounds like.
I believe everyone has their beliefs and they're entitled to.
If it brings you peace, great. Believe whatever you want to believe. If it helps you when you're suffering, like Doctor just said, great. Believe it. But when you're using that as an excuse to oppress other people, or you're using it as an excuse to ignore situations that are going on in the world, that is where I have a problem with it. That is where I say that's not right. That's wrong. When you have these millionaire preachers and priests or whatever they are taking advantage of people based on religion and based on people's fears and people's beliefs, that's not cool. I can't get behind that. Because I'm not saying that all Christians are evil, not all Christians or whatever. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that there has to be a moment where you can say, my faith will get me through these tough times, but I don't know. But I can't turn a blind eye to what's really happening in the world. I just can't. And part of my frustrations with my life is that I don't feel like I'm at the point where I can do anything to change anything. And I don't know if I ever will be, but it's just, I don't know. It just seems to me like willful ignorance. Like it's I don't have to be responsible for a situation that's going on because I think it's supposed to be happening.
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't get that.
Again, if you had a viewer that talked about how his faith helped him through the hard times, to me, in a pure world, that is the exact reason any religion should exist, is to get people through those times. And that's what it was used for a lot back in the day, I would say. Also, it was, in my opinion, used to instill control.
Yes, it kept people in line, for sure.
But a lot of
Still
people do
does.
find comfort in their faith, and
and that's great.
fully believe that's good for them. But yeah, on my end, it's just for me personally, I never found comfort in it because I couldn't turn my brain off, and the what was being told to me just didn't add up. And I'm like, if anybody else were telling me what you're telling me, I would think they're full of shit. But you have something backing you that you believe to be stone. When I look at it as paper, and you're telling me to just go by faith. If I have a argument to make that that completely disregards what you just told me to be true, your only response to that is have faith. And to me, that's like just a get out of jail free card to not have an answer to what needs to be answered. So that is my biggest issue. I mean, I'm a full believer in faith and having faith in something and really hoping for something, but there's got to be substance behind it too for me.
Ian, there's something you're really quiet for some reason. Like, I can hear you fine, but I don't know why.
On your chat, might need to turn me up.
How do I turn you up?
On Discord. If you go to Discord and you go to my name, it has user volume, and you can slide it left or right. I was told on my chat I can't turn my mic up anymore because I had people telling me that I was coming in too loud because I was adjusting my volume. Anybody in my chat right now, am I coming through okay? Sam, if you're still here, or Jason, if you're still here, let me know. If I'm too quiet in my chat, please let me know.
I just kicked him up a little bit. Hopefully that helps.
Because now I'm kind of curious if my own chat I'm too quiet.
Doctor, thank you for hanging out with us. You're great. Appreciate it. I'm sure I'll see you soon. Please feel free to join us every Friday night.
Fine.
Something crazy
Am
seems
I
like it's going to
quiet at
happen
all?
now.
Jason, or am I a loud volume or am I quiet?
Last week we
I
talked
turned
about
your
growing
volume
up
up,
gay.
so
This
that's a
week we
quiet
talked
sound?
about 9/11. So overnight hours, guys.
Yeah, that was quite a start.
That was quite a start.
I did not, and sadly for him, that was pretty tame.
But you know what? In all actuality, that's part of the appeal of doing something late at night is to get that kind of off the wall, unexpectedness and weirdness. You know what I mean? So it kind of fits with the theme of what I wanted to do.
No, that was a lot of fun. Are we
Kyle?
we have more subjects?
We can wrap it up if you guys want. It's 2:00 my
no.
time, so.
It's up to you. It's up to Kyle, actually.
Oh, I don't mind either way.
Let's put out some questions to the audience. You guys have any questions you want to ask before we'll do Q&A before we
I like that.
close it out. Anything you want. Anything's on the table. Ask anything you'd like to
AMA.
ask. Hashtag AMA. I'm going to talk. Let me check the no calls. No. No,
Don't be shy.
Emails.
Ask us anything.
I'm checking my Twitter to see if I got any tweets. I got nothing. Oaks is asking, how come you didn't read my second email that I sent you? Oaks, I didn't because we had already talked about it. I didn't want to go back to talking about the 9/11 stuff, so that's why I didn't read it. But thank you for sending it. Slap asks, what movie will be the first to get you back in theaters?
Ooh. Is this a hypothetical movie, or would it be like a movie that's coming out? Because I don't know of anything coming out recently besides Mortal Kombat.
It's hard now that we have Danny's basement.
Yeah, we have Danny's basement here, so we don't need movie theaters.
Did he set up the room or something?
It's ridiculous, Garon. You would be in love.
I will be vaccinated as of May 7th. I still don't know if that will be enough to get me to go to the theaters. I just don't know, because I don't know exactly how much, this is going to sound crazy, but I don't know how much faith I actually have in the vaccinations in terms of these other strains.
Right.
So it really, but you're going to see this on the podcast coming up, but I did look up how they're doing social distancing, and they are actually blocking off a lot of seats for theaters. But the first movie I will consider is The Conjuring.
Halloween.
The Conjuring 3.
Oh.
That's the day before my birthday, Oaks. Yeah, Arclight nailed it. Arclight's there's nobody doing it better than the Arclight. The Arclight is shutting down, by the way, completely. So if not The Conjuring, then probably Black Widow.
Really? Black Widow?
Yeah.
I have no faith that movie's gonna be any good.
The reason I think it is actually going to be good is because they haven't already dumped it on Disney Plus. I feel like that's why Soul was released on Disney Plus, because as good as Soul is, it's not as good as people think it is.
Okay, well, here we go. Since we're gonna shift into the MCU. All right. So, what did you think of WandaVision?
Oh, I loved it.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
But that was on Disney Plus, straight.
That's a TV show.
I know, but it was still a series. It could have been a movie.
It was always
It was
planned
only
to be a
6
series.
episodes.
It was 9 episodes.
Sorry, 9 episodes. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of Winter Soldier.
Yeah, but no, that was always planned to be a TV series.
No, I know, but I thought your main point was that when it gets shipped straight to Disney Plus, it's because it's not quite up to snuff. I thought you were insinuating that the MCU stuff that went straight to Disney Plus was not quite up to snuff.
I was. Like, I think that there's certain things they're willing to drop onto Disney Plus. I guess it's not fair to say because it feels like straight to video. So that's not fair for me to say. I shouldn't say it that way.
Well,
but
I think
I
thought
if
WandaVision was amazing.
Yeah, but that's not a fair even assessment. Because it was created for Disney Plus. That's why they made these Marvel shows to get people to subscribe to Disney Plus.
No, I understand that. So you're saying if they made a Marvel movie straight to Disney Plus, you would automatically think it was not up to snuff to be in theaters?
If they made a Marvel movie that was not supposed to be on Disney Plus.
That was made for Disney Plus.
That's different. If they purposely were creating a film to go on to Disney Plus, that's different. But if they I think they released Soul and they released Raya to Disney Plus because they're family movies. And they probably thought they would get a lot more attention on it because of the pandemic. So Black Widow, I think they would have done the same thing, and Mulan, which also has got bad reviews. But I feel like if Black Widow wasn't good, or wasn't as good as they think other Marvel movies is, that they would have done. They would have released it a lot sooner than they are doing.
I also think that Disney overvalues Johansson and this Black Widow because I absolutely find her character to be utterly boring in all of the movies that she's been in.
Oh, well.
So my problem is I just don't. That's my issue. Like if they were to make a Hawkeye movie tomorrow, I would probably throw up and then walk away.
Well, they're making a Hawkeye TV series.
And that's why, because he can't be in a movie on his own because he's such a weak character and everything about that character in the MCU is weak. I feel like Hawkeye and Black Widow were just kind of like thrown into it, and they did not put enough effort into those characters in the MCU.
Well, the thing is that Black Widow is an assassin, so.
No, I get, yeah, but they still could have made it okay. More okay. Black Widow less so than Hawkeye. Hawkeye was a travesty in the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
They took everything that was great about Hawkeye and put it in. As much as I like him in some stuff, one of the most boring actors I've ever seen, with no personality, and they made him this like cold, stone cold guy. When in reality, everything I've read and seen of Hawkeye, he's far more in line with like a Spider-Man style character with his attitude and his kind of his arrogance and just his flamboyance, and then they made him the most boring version of himself that I could imagine.
Yeah. I
And
guess
so if there was a whole movie based on him, I couldn't do it. Just like, for example, is this Hawkeye movie gonna be, our show gonna just be Hawkeye, or will it be Hawkeye and Bill or something? Or is it gonna be Hawkeye?
It's
and somebody else?
him. I think it's like him training his daughter to be the new Hawkeye or something like that.
Oh,
It's got Haley
because that's what I'm saying. That's what
Steinfeld
they
in
did
it.
with Winter Soldier. Falcon and Winter Soldier were too weak of characters to be on their own. They had to put them together. Did you watch that, by the way?
Yeah, I did.
Did you like or no?
I liked it.
I did not see the final episode, so don't tell me anything. I know you wouldn't either for spoilers for your community, but I'm not. I think I just finished episode 5, so I need to finish 6. How do you feel? Oh, sorry. Do you have more questions before I start going off on nerd chats?
Stuart asked something and I lost it. Hold on.
Oh, sorry, Stuart. If he gets that reference, I'll forever love him. Stuart!
He said to each of you guys, has there been a moment when you believed in something and dug in against significant opposition and was actually vindicated? For me, it was O.J. Simpson's innocence. I knew he was not guilty of that crime. I knew it in my guts. I knew it in my heart, and I believe it today.
You are a firm believer that OJ's
And
innocent.
I was proven correct by the jury.
You have to be bullshitting right now.
And the
Yeah, okay, I can see the laugh. Get out of here. Okay, literally, Jason just on my stream goes, that jaw drop. Because literally on my own stream, my mouth was in my ankle. I'm like, get out of here.
If it don't fit, can't acquit.
Yes. Chewbacca was a Wookiee.
I don't know, honestly. I don't.
Kyle, did you hear that really deep question we got asked?
What?
It was good. Read it again, Garon.
Has there been a moment when you believed in something and dug in against significant opposition and was actually vindicated?
That is a hard one to answer. I feel like I'm still waiting for that moment.
Ian being the killer, and I was proved correct, even though everyone else thought he wasn't.
When was that?
I'm just kidding. I don't think so.
I feel like I'm still waiting for that moment, to be honest.
It's true. I haven't really.
I haven't been in anything that deep, I guess, that mattered that much.
Yeah.
To be like, aha!
Yeah,
That's
I
a
don't
really
know.
good
I don't know.
question.
That's and at some level that kind of makes me question if I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah, I know. Is my life useless because I haven't had that moment?
Or you've been that spot on. I mean, and people agree with you.
Let's go
I
with
feel like
that.
there's not much people.
Yeah, I mean, there's that side of the coin. I mean, there's things we've been correct. I mean, it's not like a super vindication, but there's people we've seen our friends date that a lot of people didn't see bad in, that they turned out to be awful human beings. But
I mean,
just
that's
a
something I don't
weird-
want. I don't know. I mean, the thing is weird that I've been. I don't have a lot of experiences in general in my life for whatever reason. But I'm also very good at giving people advice, which is why I wanted to do this, is because I'm really good at giving advice and seeing how situations go. But even though I haven't done a lot of stuff, like that's
I feel it's a curse for certain people. I feel that way, and I'm sure Kyle does too. I feel like I'm really good at giving advice, but I cannot follow it myself. And
oh yeah, that's why I say
Help
do as I
myself.
say, not as I do. As I do,
yeah, I'm
because
bad about that.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm-
there's so many things that I believe and so many things I see in other people that it's so clear to me. But for myself, it's all foggy, like I'm looking through a fogged over window.
yeah. So I don't know, Stuart. That's a question.
I'm gonna say my answer is I'm waiting for that moment, Stuart.
Maybe I'll say that I think that situation is that I think Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez is the savior of this country.
AOC?
AOC is going to change this country in a way that no one has done it before, and I think she's the one that's going to do it. It's just that I just hope she gets the chance.
Don't say that around Dad or Patty or Diane.
I would not.
Well, I said it before
I am
again.
never going to see either one of those two women again in my life, so I don't think I ever need to. Hank, thank you for coming by. Appreciate it. You're welcome here. You know, you're part of the family.
All I know is, speaking of that political side of things, and this is all I'll say on it, it's a shame that I highly doubt that Bernie Sanders is going to live to see the world that he's been trying to create for 40, 50 years. He was so ahead of his time in like the 80s and 90s. It was ridiculous, and nobody saw it. That man knew exactly what was wrong, and nobody has seen it.
We are at the bleeding edge of a tipping point of society that if something does not change, and this is going to be some people saying this is liberal versus Republican or whatever, but it's not. It's good versus evil, really. That if shit doesn't start going right, we are going to be doomed as a country. I don't think this country will live another 10 years if shit doesn't start changing.
I won't even say good versus evil. What I'm going to say is this. There's a natural evolution to humankind and ingenuity, and we're getting to a precipice where if we don't start looking to where our creations are going, that we are all going to be in turmoil. Because I forget who it was, but like, let's go over universal base income. I'm sure everyone knows what that is. The reason I see that as a necessity right now in this world is that with automation, technology, and advancement, this world is moving to a self-sufficient when it comes to production. Mm-hmm. So to me, what that tells me is that humans are evolving from production to creation. We have robots that can produce, that can mass produce. We're going to have automation that can drive trucks, transport everything. All of the menial labor we're doing now is going to eventually be handled by machinery and technology. So why are we not trying to focus on what we've done in the first place, which is creation? We should be moving towards, a less economic society, more about creating new things, whether it be stories, art, new technologies, science, medicine. But instead, we're so focused on keeping what was, keeping our old means of production, keeping old energy like gas, fossil fuels, so obsessed and pushing back against technology, when in reality, at some point, we have to embrace the fact that our evolution as far as technology goes has been leading to this moment. The reason that we've invented since we invented the wheel was to make human life more sustainable and more efficient and better. And we're getting to that precipice, and everybody is clinging to the old way. Everyone is so afraid of moving in the direction of progress, and they're so focused on staying where we are now. And it blows my mind that I feel like people don't see it, and it just drives me insane.
Because they see that all they see is the money. The people that can make these kind of decisions, all they see is the money that they're getting. And they're afraid of losing that income stream or that money. When in reality,
we're evolving
we
to
should
a point
not,
where paper currency is inefficient as a means.
We should not have retail workers. Period. There's no reason to have retail workers anymore. And that's
all busy
slowly whittling away. I mean, look at Target, Walmart, Meijer.
I'm saying,
like, it's
there's
all
more
check
than
out
retail.
yourself.
When we get self-automated vehicles, why do we need truck drivers?
Yeah.
When we have kiosks, why do we need retail workers?
Because they have to have people to control. They have to have people they can be above and they can be lords over.
So at some point, with all this technology, the government's going to have to embrace this, because all these companies are going to see the value of technology in the workplace. So what is the government going to do when everyone loses their jobs over time because those jobs are menial and no longer needed? And they're left with a mass of people who are now, unable to use what skills they had before for menial labor. We have to go to a creation-based society. We have to go away from production.
The fact that
well, you're even seeing that through COVID. Like, COVID opened a lot of people's eyes of what they can do without people and shit. Like, the show must go on.
And the government still did not stand up to help.
I know.
The more I hear on that, like I'm not going to bring up the name because this person is important to me, but I saw somebody fighting tooth and nail against greener energy, talking about how people are losing their jobs because we're moving away from fossil fuels. I finally said something. I was like, do you give a and then I was like, do you give a shit about your grandkids and their grandkids? Because you act like you're family oriented, but you don't want to push towards a renewable energy that will keep generations of your family safe and warm, because eventually fossil fuels will run out.
And
So
not
if
to
we
mention,
know
it's
that's-
not like there's not going to be new jobs with green energy. That's what I
But
don't
even
get
still,
people's
they're looking at the
argument.
short term. They're looking at the jobs now. What about the future when we don't push this technology and we lose that easy, accessible energy that you've coveted your whole life? What then? We should be focusing on green energy now because we have to prepare for a world where we don't have easy access to fossil fuels. That's your kid's life. That's their kid's life. That's their kid's life.
It's part
that
of
you
it
should
is
be looking
is,
out for.
is fear of what the unknown, a fear of what
It's
a world
fear
would
of the
look like
current
without that.
unknown.
It's like
that's
what,
my biggest issue with it. It's so narrow-minded.
Mhm.
Stop worrying about 50, the 5,000 jobs that Bill and Jerry lost. And I am sorry they lost that job. And that is something that's unfortunate. But at the same time, we need to be moving to greener energy for the future generations of grandkids. And that will, as Kyle said, create jobs too. But in my mind, we're moving towards a society that we have to change something, because we are moving in technology in a way that isn't what we've known since the 90s, the early 2000s, even the 2010s and 20s. It's not going to be sustainable in the long term.
Yeah.
And that's why that guy, I forget his name. Do you remember the presidential candidate who was pushing the universal base income? I forget his name.
Andrew
I know he's
Yang.
Asian. Thank you. He said the same thing. He told people, he's like, this government needs to be looking at ways to help people move into more creative jobs and more tech-based jobs, because all of this menial labor that we're pushing people on is going to be obsolete in the future. You have a 50-year-old truck driver who can't drive truck anymore. Is he going to go to school and suddenly become a master programmer?
I know,
Like, there's
right?
no way.
They don't care about that. That's the thing. As long as their money is increasing, there's not one single person. I'm sorry. There's very few people in the government that actually give a shit about regular people. And I'll tell you what, it's not Joe Biden and it's not Kamala Harris. It's AOC. It's Bernie Sanders.
Well, the funny thing about that is it's a self-defeating thing, because in the end, if people are pushed to the point where their income is gone and they can't work, and that's what's going to cause revolution eventually. It's not going to be because of the right thing, which is like moral reasons. It's going to be the sheer fact that people don't have jobs and people aren't making money, and they're going to revolt. Even that mindset is short-sighted.
But the thing is that I don't think that the society as we have it now will get to that point. I don't think revolution is ever in the cards for this country. I think collapse will happen before revolution.
Well, revolution would be the cause of collapse in a sense.
I just don't think it goes that far. I think that shit stops working, but I don't think the people will ever rise up. This isn't France. The people, we're fucking lazy. We don't want to give up internet. We don't want to give up our television. We don't want to give up anything. They're not going to rise up and fight back. They just won't. Because you know why they won't? Because they don't get up and vote in their own interests.
Well,
if anybody actually gave a shit or thought they had the power to change anything, no, Ian, this election didn't prove shit. More people voted for Trump this election than they did the last time.
No. More people voted in general was the point.
For Trump.
No, I'm not talking about just for Trump. I'm talking about in general. First off, Biden had more votes than Trump. Let's not forget that.
Barely.
He had it was a decent number. It was about 4 million or something like that last I checked.
It should never have been as close as it was. If the people in this country had any sense, because as Americans as a whole are stupid people. As a society, we are ignorant. Individually, we're not. As a society, we are. As groups, we are.
I will say this. What blows my mind is we've gone out of our way to make everything more convenient and fast, except for our voting process.
No, because if we did that, there would never be another Republican president.
Well, that's exactly it. So when they make voting more accessible and quick for everybody so that you can do it within moments without having to leave work, without having to miss a day of work or wait in long lines, we can make everything in this world easily accessible and drive through except for your right to vote, and somehow that becomes impossible to make easy and impossible to make fruitful for everybody.
No,
and
because
that is where bullshit is called.
They don't
Like that
they
Georgia
don't
law
ever
where they
want that.
fucking forbid water to be given in lines. Like, who the fuck thought
That's
that?
disenfranchisement. They are
Like,
literally
oh, I know it
trying
is,
to
but
take
fact
the
that
right to
people
vote away from
swallowed
people.
it up
There-
is outrageous.
Look, conservatism is a poisonous pill, and a lot of people have taken it, and a lot of people will succumb to it. And the fact that it's an incalculable amount of conservative policies are racist and homophobic and is xenophobic and God knows what else. It boggles my mind that this society just took a fucking toboggan run back to the 50s in terms of social outlooks or social programs or whatever.
On a side note, shallow note, this doesn't bother me for a bit, Garon. Do you have a bruise on your neck, or is that just shadow?
It's shadow.
Okay, it looks
Yeah.
pink and purple.
Because
and I
I've got
really
pink
thought
and purple
someone beat
lights
you.
behind me that you can't really see because the
I
ring
see
light's
it
too
now.
bright.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. It's been bothering me for a little bit.
Yeah, I
was
usually
like,
don't
did
have
someone
any-
strangle Garon.
Yeah, I usually
Give me
have.
the
I
king.
wish it was a hickey, but
I know. I thought it was your new king.
no, it's. I usually don't have another light on, so it's usually more mood based.
I got you. No, I like blue lights behind me. I get it. Kyle, are you
There,
asleep?
do you see it a little better?
No, I'm here.
A little bit. Yeah, I see him back there. I see your lights.
This is gonna get me in trouble, but I honestly think that this country needs a revolution, and that January 6th was just the wrong people.
Well, I think when people think of revolution, they think of like a bunch of people with pitchforks running around and like fighting off the man. A revolution can be digital, it can be financial, it can be social. As far as a revolution goes, like the next revolution won't be fought with guns and knives, it'll be fought with literal dollars and cents. That's the only way a revolution works in this day and age.
Yeah, and look at that actually tried to happen with this Wall Street stuff. And what do? They shut down people's ability to buy stock.
You have to that's too new though. You have to give that a little time to see if it causes change, because there's been a couple examples in this world where something has happened and it seemed at first that it was nothing happened, but in the long term things have changed.
But I'm
So
saying the second that the underserved or the fucking poor people got their hands on something that would give them success or give them wealth, the people in power took it away.
Yeah, but now we're aware of it. See, that's why I'm saying you have to play the long game. No one was talking about any of these Wall Street laws, especially about common people. We're never discussing this. Now it's in everyone's brain.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like once Pandora's box is open, it's hard to close it again. I'm saying give it some time. I honestly see there being a financial revolution, especially with the stock market.
I just feel like that we as a society are so have such short attention spans that they're just going to give this up. Like, well, we tried it, it didn't work out.
Doge.
Let's move on to something else.
Look at these bitcoins. Like with these bit currencies, or crypto. What am I talking about? Anyway, as people start getting a taste of it, that's when people start getting aware of it and people start learning about it. And then because that's the thing is governmental power and power over the people is only provided when people are willing to submit.
Mm-hmm.
And they need certain things to be done for that submission to happen. One of those things is suppression of knowledge. Now that things get out of the bag, yeah, you're right. They covered it up. Robin Hood got shit on. All these other places that started covering up these law or these Wall Street laws started getting exposed. Give it some time to get further exposed. Let more people start hitting the stock market. Let more people get hurt by this, and you're gonna see eventually people start to focus on change. It'll happen.
I hope so. That's why I think we need more AOC. We just have
Don't
to.
hate her
I
too
just saw
much.
a random dab.
We have to. That's one of my Glug Point redemptions.
Oh, I got you.
We just have to get to the point where
He's that into his point, and he's like, yeah.
these old guard
AOC.
terrible, horrible people have to go. And once the new guard and people with actual brains and actual hearts start getting elected, then we can have some change. But that's because it's not just Republicans. I mean, it's mostly Republicans, but Nancy Pelosi is no good. She's just there for money. That's it. She's no good. Fucking there's not a single Republican that's worth a damn in the government. They can all get elected out as far as I'm concerned. But
Mitt Romney didn't change any.
Well, there needs to be term limits for these people that are like 80 in office. So
yeah,
it's just
Mitch McConnell has
ridiculous.
no business being in government anymore.
No.
First off, he's the master of disguise. Okay, show him some respect.
He's an evil, horrible person. And
Does anyone get that reference?
are you talking about the Dana Carvey movie?
Turtle.
It's stupid. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to not be cynical and it's hard to stay hopeful, but when we have people like
That's the only thing
Marjorie
keeps me
Green trying to protect the Anglo-Saxon way of life, like, what are you doing?
It's funny when you say Anglo-Saxon way of life when the Europeans are doing it better.
Right? Kyle, you're not streaming, right?
No.
Huh? What?
Kyle's not streaming.
Oh, you're not streaming, Kyle?
Mm-mm.
Oh, did someone ask?
Yeah, Angie asked.
Oh. Yeah, I'm still streaming. But no, yeah. I envy the youth right now because, like, as much as I was talking to somebody about this, like, when I think of Kim's baby, you know, Kyle, I envy the fact that I think they're going to grow up into a different world than we can even imagine right now. You know, 10, 20, 30 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
As much as I envy the way we all grew up in that world, you know, with like simpler times and, you know, less technology and like a lot of cool pop culture references that, you know, I don't think will ever be emulated. I do envy where we grew up, but I don't envy what we grew up into and the times we grew up into. And I think that it's going to be the opposite effect for the youth today. Like, I feel like the babies today are growing up into a weird time that's not great. But I think by the time they're in adulthood, I think there's going to be some serious reform that's going to cause, you know, I think some positive change. And that's what keeps me going. Honestly, it does. So, Ian the optimist over here.
Marjorie Green can't spell Green New Deal, let alone
Oh,
read
God.
about
Is she
it.
that crazy woman who talked about shooting people? And
Yeah,
that-
she's a monster. She's a fucking
Yeah.
tumor on the government.
Oh, yeah,
Anyway,
it's ridiculous.
I think we can wrap it up. It's dawn where you guys are.
Oh, it's, what time is it right now, Kyle?
It's almost 6 o'clock.
It's almost going on 6 a.m. Look at this. Third shift, pulling the third shift off. I love it.
Guys, thank you for joining me. This has been fun. Heated conversation. Interesting
Seriously.
conversation. Goofy conversation. But fun nonetheless. Thanks everybody for joining us. I still got 12 viewers. Ian, do you want me to raid you so you get some views?
I mean, I'm probably going to log off when you do. As much as I want that raid, I would hate to raid and just log right off.
Oh, okay.
I
We never found Billy the Kid. He's out there somewhere.
But if any
in
of
the
your
chat.
current viewers want to come subscribe to follow Third Shift, I'd love that. That'd be great.
I don't know who to raid then.
Raid your Chewy friend. Is he on?
He's not on.
Oh. Do your peer-to-peer.
Does anybody in there know anybody who's worth raiding right now?
It's 6 a.m. Eastern.
I could raid Jacob Whitesides. He's super cute.
With a great personality.
He's playing Fortnite. He's got 145 viewers though. What's my 16 gonna do for him? All right, we won't raid anybody. All right, guys, thank you so much. Then we'll just raid you, Ian. Then you can get some viewers. Raid Ian and follow Ian.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. You do.
TH_SH1FT.
Well, Kyle, do you want to play something quick then, before we go?
I don't really know what we could play. I was gonna maybe play Nier for a second before bed.
Oh, I was gonna say a quick round of DVD or something. But...
All right, guys, I'm logging. here comes the raid. Thank you guys so much. Love you all. We'll see you soon. I'll probably come on this weekend. I'm sure I will. Till next time, good night. Good conspiracies, I guess.
Some of them were conspiracies.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm just showing myself.